This programme is brought to you by vinny.co.uk.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Champions League pool here on Free Sports. Final time, we'll be saying that for a while as we enter the final throes of a wonderful competition. 4 men left standing from the original 32, and Simon, this promises to be a magical night.
It really does. We started this competition with an incredible lineup, and we've ended up with 4 very, very classy players. We've got 2 former world champions in Michael Hill and Chris Melling, 2 of the all-time greats, and then you've got one of the players that we've seen a lot of on Free Sports over the last few years, the former Premier League champion in Raybone. He is ultra consistent, and here he is again in another finals night. And then we have the rising star of the group in Davies. We saw him make the World Championship final last year, and he is one of the real rising stars, and expect a lot from him in the future.
Well, 2 semi-finals and then the final itself to come tonight. We'll talk a little bit about our first semi-final in a moment, but we're going to talk about our second initially. This is Chris Melling versus Aaron Davies, 2 wonderful players in their own right. They have to be to get to this stage, but something of a clash, not just in styles, but also maybe in eras as well, Simon.
Yeah, definitely a clash in eras. You know, you've got one of the all-time greats in Chris, but when Aaron, he's a rising star, he's in his early 20s. But I think on the table as well, there's a clash. Chris is very fast. He's the way he goes about his business. He's quick thinking. He comes up with great shots. Whereas Aaron is your Mr. Consistent. His match play is so good. He always seems to pick the right choice of shot. And you would say this format would be better suited to Chris with it being such a short shot clock. But for me, the player that's handled that the best throughout the whole competition so far has been Aaron. His clock match management has been absolutely fantastic.
And our first match barely needs an introduction. We're going to give it one anyway. Our first semi-final is Michael Hill versus Raybone. It's the one you've all been waiting for.
Consistently in quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, he wins tournaments. He's such a good, consistent and solid player. Absolutely one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Well, all set to be an absolute barnstormer then. 2 players who know each other really well, Simon. They've known each other since they were very, very young, same sort of area in the country, and most importantly, 2 phenomenal players.
Absolutely, two fantastic players. You know, Michael Hill, he's 6 times world champion. He is one of the absolute greats of this game. But we've seen here on Free Sports what Neil's done over the last couple of years, winning the Premier League title last year. He is so consistent, and his style of play on the table is also very, very consistent. His match play is absolutely brilliant. In fact, both players' match play is brilliant.
You know, we talk about their ability. You know, they are 2 premium potters. They both pick their patterns better than most. What is going to be the difference between them in this match?
Well, to be honest, their style of play is actually quite similar. They do seem to pick the right shot all the time. The way they go about it, their patterns are fantastic. And for me, the difference could well come down to the break. Which player is going to get the most chances? And I think so far in this competition, we've seen Neil's break working a lot better than Michael's. Michael's break has been probably his biggest weakness in the competition so far, but he doesn't have a weak break. And if he can find that tonight and he gets the chances, then he could well go all the way.
It's set to be an absolute banger, this one. Cannot wait for it. We're about to see, though, how both of them made it to this stage. Here's their route to the finals night. And it will be Raybone, who was our 4th quarter-finalist. Dropped into the competition on 2 weeks' notice, into the group of death. No problem. Raybone is our 4th quarter-finalist.
Yeah, I'm happy. It was a difficult group, a lot of good players in it. Obviously, it all came down to the first match in hindsight. It's fine lines, really.
with the first frame of the match, how long he was able to drag it out when he was in a losing position. He'd almost be happy for that to happen again. Oh, I take that back. I take it all back. He would not be happy because he's made an unbelievable double.
Well, for a 4-1 win, Neil Raybone is through to finals night. The razor as sharp as ever. A super night's work from Neil Raybone. He's looking in ominous form, isn't he? Here's Michael Hill. And he is one shot away from topping the group in the quarter-final. 3 from 3. The machine is a finalist.
So I've known Neil and his mum and what, for a very, very long time. So it's a nice occasion. I would rather play with no kind of animosity or bad feeling. I feel like I enjoy it more. And you know what, if Neil beats me, fair play, I hope he wins it, you know what I mean?
Well, if Neil wins it, that's who Michael Hill would like to win it. I don't believe a word of that for a moment, hey Simon. It's going to be a banging match between two properly great players.
It is. I can't wait to see how this one goes. It's going to come down to such fine margins. We've seen that through the whole competition, and I think this is going to be no different in this match.
Yeah, you just see there as both made their passages through the tournament. You see the names of the men they've knocked out. It's been a real road that has been paved with plenty of good players. At the end of it, though, only 4 left standing. Only 1 will be left come the end of the night. Final odds as we headed into our match tonight then are as follows. Michael Hill, marginal favourite, not by much, but enough to take the overall favourite tag in this final 4. A reminder of the format, we are slightly changing things up for finals night. We've been seeing group stages and pool play all the way through this competition so far. This is a little bit different. We do have 2 straight semi-finals tonight and 1 final, so a little bit of a longer format. We'll have 2 sets of 20 minutes. It's a best of 2 sets, so if one player wins both, happy days. If it's 1 each, we'll go to a shootout. And Simon, you talked about how important the break would be tonight. Neil Raybone starting off with some good intentions.
Yeah, solid first break, makes a ball, gives himself the first opportunity. It looks a little bit tight in a couple of areas. Doesn't have a great yellow to go for. The reds have tied up at the bottom of the table, and then the 8 ball might potentially a problem as well. So a tricky opener. I think he's going to be eyeing up a yellow into the centre.
Well, he's taken his extension early on, I think, just to give himself a little bit of time to set. Early opener is missed. Perhaps a couple of early jangly nerves from Neil Raybone.
Surprising first miss from Neil, but then the first shot of the match, of the night, and it was always going to be a delicate one. Those sort of shots into the centre, they look so much easier than they actually are. You'd have wanted something easier than that after your first break.
Yellow balls in play.
It's not a bad start from Michael Hill, mind. Lovely combination shot into the middle pocket, and these yellows do look a little bit more inviting. Having said that, there is still plenty of work to do. 2 now tied up towards the top of the table. And
might try and do something about that now. He missed the cannon. He was trying to get the 2 together.
couldn't have potted it any thicker than the angle he was trying to get as well. Only just scraped over the line in that top pocket. And he's got to be careful here, Michael, of potting himself into trouble. Might just have a bit of an angle to cause some commotion off this yellow to the middle pocket. That's what he's tried to do. And again, same problem.
Yeah, that yellow's blocked the other yellow to the corner pocket. He may not have a pot to go for at all.
Yeah, both players have used their extensions early on, and it is, we talked about it throughout this competition, a tight shot clock. 20 seconds is not a lot. Something Neil Raybone has managed pretty well throughout. It's something at times Michael Hill struggled it with, particularly in his group stage. Had a very difficult time of it. He still managed to win through, which is testament to how good he is. But he had a really tough time in that group stage. He was up against a shark tank of opponents.
For me, I think Michael's dealt with the shot clock better and better as the competition has gone on.
Yeah, it was a marked difference, wasn't it, in his quarter-final?
For all the amazing things he's done in the game, he will never have played in a competition with 20 seconds a shot. So it would have been foreign to him, and it's taken him a little bit of time to get used to it. I suspect this will be the first time that Neil's played with 20 seconds a shot as well, but we did see him win the Premier League with a 30-second shot clock, so he's certainly capable and comfortable, or more comfortable, with that short nature of the shot clock.
Well, Neil's run into a little bit of trouble here, though. Made the cannon on the reds, but has not moved it anywhere close to where he'd like it to be. So safety it is, and our first frame of the night is going to be a little bit tactical. It always felt like it might go that way, particularly off the first break. It was difficult, wasn't it? There was problems all over the table. Neither player managed to solve them effectively. And here we are.
No thoughts of the yellow, it's just trying to get that cue ball as far up the table as possible. Leave Neil nothing to go at, and at the same time getting the yellow into the open, which he's done well. Neil may just try and block this pocket up. A bit of cat and mouse going on.
Which also, to our customary mention, as has been the protocol really in the last few weeks. Whenever we've seen Mr. Hill on our television, always see plenty of mentions of, where's Mick? Why we call him Michael? That is the man himself's request, ladies and gents.
He's happy either way, I think. But yeah, we're making an effort to call him Michael. It's not.
He's trying to.
Not been that easy.
Yeah, he's you know, gone for that little extra level of esteem in his older years, maybe.
Potentially a chance here for Neil if he wants it. No, it's going to continue to keep it tight. Could have potted that ball that he's nudged up the middle of the table. The cue ball would have been running away a little bit, so decided to wait, and that's what I often talk about with Neil, that he sort of, you always feel like he finds the right time to go for finishes.
Yeah, he never seems to make a bad decision, which is you know, an excellent mark of any quality pool player, really. I think the thing we've noticed, particularly as this competition in particular has got deeper, is when we've had these tactical frames, they've lasted a lot longer than what we're used to so far in this competition. When you get the, you know, we're talking of the elites of the elites here, the four that are here tonight, it's very rare to get any kind of mistake, tactical or otherwise.
Yeah, we haven't really seen only a handful of drawn-out frames in the whole tournament.
That's not a foul, by the way. We're playing international 8-ball rules tonight. You can pot your opponent's ball as long as you play a legal shot in doing so. And I think the referee here wants another look at that shot.
I think he's concerned that it might have been red first.
Yeah, so we're going to take a little look at that. The red first is the potential shout that the referee wants to take a look at, because if it is red first, then it would be a foul. But slight video referee situation here. We're already so used to VAR in other sports, but it's run pretty smoothly in the pool so far. Fingers crossed.
Well, I think everyone just wants to make sure we get the decision correct, and this was a really close one to call, and it was sort of questioned by both players. Neither player really sure, so no harm in having another look and making sure we get the right decision. And it actually does make a massive difference, because if this is a foul, it's probably going to cost Michael Hill the frame, so it's a massive call to get right. If it's not a foul, then it's a decent safety shot, so it's time will tell.
Yeah, isn't it just? And Paul has always had that sort of tradition of a game of honesty. You call your own fouls, as it were, and our referee has decided it was a foul, so cue ball in hand for Neil Raybone. We'll get a look at that just here. That's the decision made.
Good decision for me.
Was tight, but as you can see, that's all it takes. So cue ball in hand is the penalty for that foul. Neil Raybone then will mop these up, and that is all it takes. We've talked about it in particular in these last couple of weeks, haven't we, Simon, about what the difference has been in these matches between the top players in this tournament. It's a shorter format, and all it comes down to is, can you make less mistakes, because there isn't going to be many, and whenever they are, it tends to be quite decisive.
Absolutely, completely agree. You have to punish the mistakes when they come along, because when you've got players of this level, especially in these short matches, you don't see many mistakes at all.
Well, I've given both these players the big build-up. This is the man who's got in front. The Razor, Neil Raybone from Willenhall. I mentioned he's the IPA Premier League champion as of 2020 and the former IPA #1 as well. And that was recently as well, it's worth pointing out. It wasn't too long ago that he was that #1 player. He's also European champion in the town billiards competition. He's just a superb player, and the fact that he's actually the bookie's outsider for this is a real testament to how good this Final Four is. That 8-ball was close to a golden break, but in the end, it's going to come up dry for Michael Hill. He's hit that really, really well. You can see the spread of the balls here. See the power he gets through the pack. Struck it beautifully, but nothing down.
Yeah, and it's definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout this competition or throughout this match is that break. It's been the biggest talking point on Michael's game throughout. Hasn't quite found it in this competition. It's one of those that you're talking about, does he have a weak break? But he doesn't. It's just the way this competition has gone from. He's just struggling to find the consistency on the break.
Well, to put it into perspective, he made 9 breaks in his group stage and only made a ball off 1 of them, which is crazy to think that he then qualified through off that. Meanwhile, Neil has made a bad error there, and you could see by his reaction he knew it was a bad one. It's not an easy shot, that plant down the rail, but it's a shot that he would expect to make, and that may well just open this frame up to square things up for Michael Hill.
Almost frame ball as well. When you play to the level that Neil Raybone does, if that plant goes in, he stays on the other ball that's down the rail, then the rest of the balls are all in the open and all near pockets, and there's no problems to work out at all. So that plant not going in could be a big moment in this match. Not much room for this yellow. Oh, there is enough room for the yellow. Didn't even touch the red, which surprises me. It's a lovely shot from Michael.
Well, as you mentioned at the start of the match, Simon, it is a slightly different night tonight for multiple reasons, but one of the main ones is the change of format for finals night. 2 sets, so it is twice the length in terms of what these players have been playing each other before. You know, we saw Michael and Chris play each other last week, and the match was over in 12 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In no time at all. So will feel like players do get a bit more of a crack at the whip, but such is the ability of them all, they will still all have that problem that any error, it could be catastrophic.
Yeah, definitely. The pressure's still there. Every shot is still going to be examined. The pressure of it. It may be a slightly longer race, but still the match can still come down to such fine lines.
Something Neil Raybone knows all about. He spoke in his interview in those group stages, watched it back in his road to the final video. Very nearly didn't make the quarter-final, never mind this stage. John Rowe played unbelievably that night. He was missed double away from not making it.
It was a double you'd expect John to make as well.
Easy as that for Michael Hill, and that's what we talk about. Any missed chances are going to be punished. And we're talking about the quality of player on the other side of the table. It's not difficult to see why. The machine, Michael Hill. He is the 6-time world champion, 6-time European champion. He is the reigning world #1 in the world rules form of the game as well. And that is because he's the 3-time reigning world champion. He's won 4 out of the last 5. It's not like he's some relic of history. He's still at the very, very top of his game.
It's a really good point, isn't it? Now into his 40s, and yeah, you'd think, oh, he's been one of the top players for a long time. He's getting better and better. You know, to win those titles in his late 30s is incredible.
It's another hammer of break from Neil. This one might come up dry though. Oh, sit back down, Michael. Rocking on the edge of his seat. He thought he had the chance there, but the last ball in motion finds a home for Neil Raybone.
You can see there on the replay, he hasn't caught that front ball full. He caught it about three-quarter ball, which is why the cue ball was very close to going in off in the middle, and you can tell by the amount of power gone through the pack and the congested nature of this layout that wasn't Neil's best break.
Has looked a little bit jumpy so far as Neil, I'd say. Not quite sure he's settled too well yet. Some uncharacteristic errors so far from Razor.
Often say the players don't really settle down till they get that first frame on the board, but I think in pool it's more than that. I think, especially at this level, I think if you could get that first big break and dish out of the way and really settle into know you're still playing well and you're up and running, then that can really set you down and get you into your match.
Neither player has a colour set just yet. This is open table still. It's difficult to see which colour set you'd choose. Both have big problems. Reds have an option now, so do yellows really, but the two that are sandwiched together by the cue ball right now are causing both players a headache. But it is going to be reds for Michael.
Red ball's in play.
Obvious problem for Michael then is the red at the bottom right-hand part of the table, and you start to think about how he could open that up, and he doesn't have many great options. Potentially one of the two reds in the middle of the table nearest the 8-ball. I don't think he's going to get that far in this visit.
No, it might have been just a case of taking a colour. It makes the tactical exchange so much easier when you have a colour to play on. You don't have to consider every colour set's options.
I think so. Yeah, you're always working towards something then. I always like to, you like to get the colour set assigned. Now will Michael choose to be aggressive? He can take the one into the left centre if he wanted to, and potentially leave the angle he needs into the right centre.
There's few people better in the world at picking the right line and picking the right pattern. Might not be anyone better. And Michael thinks he's got the right angle here. Needs to get that red out. That's the shot. No one better.
It's a lovely shot. It's not just the cannon to get it out. It's look at the pace he's played this at. He's played it with the pace to nudge it over the pocket, coming off the cushion to get the cue ball out as well. That's absolutely as played, rather than just going into an area and trying to hope for something good to happen. He's played with control.
Next shot isn't easy though. It's a mark of how difficult this lie was for both players, really. Error isn't big on this shot.
Should be happy with that. Just nudging off it rather than going by it.
Should always stress as well. You always see plenty of comments, and people always say, "Oh, these pockets are huge on this table." That generally tends to be a mark of just how well the players are potting. It looks easy. The game isn't this simple, ladies and gents. We are just watching some of the best players on the planet do it. And Michael Hill has made a very, very, very difficult clearance look very simple.
Yeah, and it's a very good frame as well, because it's taking your colour set, getting the snooker, and then taking the opportunity. It's fantastic ball there from Michael Hill.
Super work from the machine. And a crucial juncture here, Simon. 6 minutes 24 left in this first set. A reminder, it's a race to 4 in the set, or a race to 0, whichever one comes first. That's not changed. But with the addition of a second set, a draw isn't the end of the world here for Neil Raybone if he can just tie the scores before the 0 hits.
It makes a massive difference for Neil, because if he manages to get a point out of the set rather than losing it, then he doesn't have to go to a 6-red shootout. It wouldn't be a case of having to win that second set and then a 6-red shootout. So definitely a massive thing is to make sure you don't lose this first set. Ultra power from Michael.
Blimey.
As hard as you can hit it. Look at the airtime on this cue ball.
Thing is usually you'd look at the break like this in slow motion, you see a cue ball in the air that high, you generally think the contact's not been that good, but the power he's got through the pack there is ludicrous. And I just wonder if that's where Michael feels that he's at with the break now. He just has to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah, I think normally you'd want to time your break well and control it a little bit better. So it is full power, but it's not absolute everything you've got. But I think what we saw in the the first group stage where he just tried to break normally and nothing was happening for him. He's decided in the second, in the quarter-final group, to go for all-out power, absolutely everything he got, and he had more success with it. So I think that's what he's tried here, is hit it as hard as you absolutely can. And the reason it jumps up in the air is because actually when you slow that down and you're hitting with so much pace, the ball is jumping and is bouncing down to that front ball, and it can just catch that front yellow and jump up in the air from it.
Yeah, it does. It sounds really almost reductive, doesn't it? That we're talking about the tactic of the break is to hit it as hard as possible. Some might be thinking, well, surely that's all you do from a break, but not the case. At this sort of level, the idea is to time those breaks, to hit them clean, to hit them accurately, and the better you time it, the results will take care of themselves generally. They haven't been for Michael. That's what we've witnessed over the course of these last few weeks or so. He has found it difficult.
Especially on good quality tables. He's just over-screwed this one a fraction. Easy done on this table, but this has gone from being a controllable little drop-in shot just to play on the 8 ball to one where it's much more missable. Oh, that used it all. That used every bit of the pocket.
That didn't just wipe its feet, that took its coat off. Hung it up on the hook. Goodness me. I can't believe that didn't drop. That did drop, rather. And so did that one too. That one was easy enough for Michael Hill. I keep watching this and I'm still not sure how it went in.
Catches that near jaw quite early, doesn't it?
You're thinking that's missed from early out. Amazing. Reminder of what we've got to come tonight as well. Aaron Davies versus Chris Melling is our second semi-final tonight. The winner of the match we're currently watching will play the winner of that one for the 10 grand and the Champions League Championship. It's not a small prize pot. We heard Aaron Davies in his interview a little bit earlier, or we will hear it rather, talk about it. And, 10 grand to the winner is a big prize pot in the pool world. Oh, as Neil goes in off. I think Neil just waved goodbye to his chances in this first set.
Yeah, just going back to the prize pot, I think it's massive for the pool world. I know that, we all watch lots of different sports and see some of the prize pots out there, and pool doesn't really compare, but compared to what we've seen in the pool over the last few years, £10,000 was the first prize at the World Championships, and a lot of the prize pots we see are largely built up of entrance fees rather than sponsorship. And the one big thing with this event is Vinny.co.uk have got on board, and the prize pot has come from their sponsorship rather than players' entry fees. And I think that's a massive change for the sport, and hopefully the start of things to come.
Well, as a former player, Simon, that's almost your players' union head speaking there, isn't it? It makes such a difference in terms of attracting players and making them want to play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's what is going to draw people to the sport. That's part of the reason why it creates such high drama, and it's fantastic to see in Ultimate Pool and Vinny.co.uk a fantastic job in this event.
Michael Hill's got his dancing shoes on again. I think he wanted to change his pattern there. In the end, he just played a stun shot just to basically give himself the same choice again. Didn't quite have the time to run around the table.
The way he's going about this finish, I'm assuming the 8 ball, that there is plenty of room for the 8 ball there's no issues with having to land on it at all. The obvious ball is to leave the one to the top left as his last ball, leave it straight, you just stun it in, you're on the 8 ball then.
Yeah, I think that's the route. Plenty of room for it, and remember this will ice the set for Michael Hill as well. A 4-1 win will put him 1-0 up, and will require Neil winning the next set to force a shootout if he has any chance of making tonight's final. It's been an impressive performance in this first set from Michael Hill, and the machine rolls on. 1-0.
First set, Michael.
Very impressive back end to that set from Michael. Once he got up and running and into the set, he was fantastic, and break dish, reverse dish to finish it off.
Well, it's been an uncharacteristic start from Neil Raybone. Hasn't been his best work, and he will want to amend that in the second set. He's going to have to if he's going to have any chance of forcing his spot in the final. The way that set has ended, though, means we have a simple outcome. Michael Hill, if he draws or wins the next set, he's through to the final. Neil Raybone can only win via a shootout. He's got back up against the wall. Well, a great start to this match so far. We're almost ready to go with our second set of our first semi-final. Michael Hill holding the advantage over Neil Raybone. A reminder, Michael, if he wins or ties this set, he will be into tonight's final with the chance to play that £10,000. Where's the 8-ball? It's in! Golden break!
Wow.
Would you believe it?
Well, we've talked about Michael Hill's break and how he's been struggling. Well, this is huge. You could tell before the 8-ball goes in how huge this was, and then that 8-ball is tracking.
Doesn't even spot it until the last. There's the classic hand of apology. We've been used to that, haven't we, Si? We haven't seen too many raw acts of celebration, but Michael Hill might well be playing it cool, but that's the dream start to this second set.
Yeah, absolutely perfect start, especially having won that first set. You know, Neil's sat there thinking, okay, I need to get a chance, get myself on the front foot and really get to work and get back in this match. And Michael said, no, I'm not going to give you an opportunity. He's hit his best break that he's hit in the whole competition, and he gets the lead in this second set.
Front ball break, and the 8-ball didn't hit a single other ball, and it's gone into the bottom corner pocket. I can't believe what I've just seen. Almost every other one we've seen it kicked about, and it's usually kicked towards the middle pocket. That might just change the science. You know, we see players switch to the cut break if they're trying to force a golden break. Michael Hill making a mockery.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen that happen, actually, where it's gone just straight down to the corner pocket. We've seen, as you say, it's been kicked in that direction, but more often than not, the golden break is in the centre.
Neil Raybone causes extension. That's a lovely opening shot just to open up that yellow. He really now needs a big turnaround here, Neil Raybone. It was a tough start to the match already, but you could be forgiven for having used the interval to psych himself up, to get his head on straight, head back in the game. And the first thing he sees upon the second set starting is 1-0 down within, I think it was 3 seconds we officially timed that out. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and he's not been blessed with a lovely split off his break as well. He hit his break nicely enough, but this is a horrible little layout. Even now, you know, he's worked it well to get to this point, but he's still got the problem of the 8-ball, and the longer you leave your biggest problem till the end, the harder that's going to become to solve.
Does look tight.
I think for me the option, I don't think there's room. I really don't. I think that potentially he could be thinking about a double. Maybe there is enough room. The other option would to try and cannon into the, yeah, he's got a nice little angle to cannon into the red just above the 8-ball.
See there, that's tight. I don't think he can land on the cushion and play it.
I think he can come on and off the bottom cushion. He can definitely get there straight, but on and off the bottom cushion is a better way to go. No, it is going to be the back double.
Oh, he's left it not nice. You're the doubles expert, Simon.
Well, you do. The reason I like this option is because of the red there. It does look like it's making it a slightly bigger pocket, and Neil is one of the best doublers I've ever seen. He's got that one all wrong. It didn't, as you said, I think he left the cue ball in a bad position for the double. I think if he gets the cue ball better, then it's an easier shot. He was just a little bit low on it.
To the point where I'm not even sure if he had the angle to double it in the end. You know, it's a criminal mistake that from Neil to, as his simplest shot of the break actually was to leave that white somewhere kind for that double. And
yeah,
I think I wonder if he could have his time again, whether he would play the cannon, because to me it looked like he had the perfect angle to come on and off the top cushion and just rest into the red above the 8 ball, and that would leave him on the 8 ball. The reason I didn't think he would do it at the start of the visit was I didn't think he'd be able to get the angle he needed, but by playing the cannon to the ball just above it, he did leave that angle. And as you say, I'm very surprised that once he's made the decision to go for the double, that he left it as awkward as he did. This is a great chance now for Michael Hill to get that 2-0 lead and really be close to the final. These are the sort of situations you just don't expect players of Michael's level to ever make mistakes on.
He looks at it tonight, does Michael Hill. He really does. And safe to say, so far, Neil hasn't. And that's been the difference. Michael has had more opportunities, but he has been presented them. I don't think he's even made a mistake yet. That's the standard that we're dealing with tonight.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can think of in that regard would be that foul where he hit the red. He just clipped the red before the yellow. But other than that, I can't think of and that was a mistake that led to losing the frame. But since that moment, it's been one-way traffic. It has been all Michael Hill.
So clinical. There is reason. That nickname, the Machine. He is a potting machine. He is a winning machine, and he's going for it again. 2-zip, set 2. And Neil Raybone is starting to stare down the barrel here.
Yeah, he's going to need some help from Michael Hill if he's going to get back into this match. Michael's last 2 breaks have been fantastic. He's had a break dish and a golden break, and if Michael finds the ball off the next break and the way he's playing, you kind of fully expect him to go ahead and take that chance. So Neil kind of needs this momentum to stop and to grab hold of this match and try and get a foothold. I think it's always, in this format, it's always difficult for the player that loses that first set, because you now know that you can only win by getting to that 6-red shootout, which just adds to the problems. It's not just a case of trying to get back in front and win 2 sets to 1 or anything like that. It's knowing you have to win a set and then a 6-red shootout.
Neil, of course, has been in one of those. Well, what a bizarre break that is. I think that's the worst one Michael Hill's hit all night, and somehow he's managed to make at least 3 balls, I think maybe even 4.
Yeah, the centre of the pack just doesn't move. Look at the 8 ball, it doesn't move at all. Considering the last time the 8 ball flew towards the bottom left-hand corner, this time nothing at all. But look at the table he's left himself. It's a little bit congested, but he has an opportunity.
So there's little touches like that just add that little bit of extra spice to Michael Hill, isn't it? It's those little garnishes, if you want. It's not everything, but those little nudges from simple-looking positional shots.
I often think that when a player like Michael plays well, he makes the game look really, really easy.
Oh, it's so annoying.
And you then go and try and play the game. You're like, hang on, this is hard. This game isn't easy. But that's what he does. It looks like he's eyed up a 3-ball plant here. I think he's going to be annoyed to be on the cushion, because it's going to take away a little bit of the control he needs on the cue ball. You see how he's having to raise the butt of the cue. He's stayed on the red to the bottom of the table. Position onto the next ball is now a little delicate. Natural path of the cue ball is going up towards the yellow in the triangle area. Hard to get above the red. Can he use the yellow to maybe stay below it to the top of the table? Well, he's played into it, and it's not great, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's sort of good news, bad news, isn't it? He's going to have a shot, and as ever with a player of Hill's quality, you'd back him to make it. Which is tough, though. I promise you it was tough.
Yeah. That yellow being next to the 8 ball as well is just lovely, because it's just it's a way of controlling the cue ball. Just focus on the pot now.
He just does not look like missing at the moment, Michael Hill. This is relentless. 3-0 in next to no time. Still nearly 13 minutes left in this second set. But Neil Raybone now needs to win the next 4 to prevent disaster. It's been so quick, it's been so clean, it's been so clinical, it's been everything we expect from Mick Kill, but we also expect from Neil Raybone as well, and that's been the biggest difference so far in the semi-final for me, Simon.
Yeah, it has. The chances that Michael's he's taken them out really solidly, really clinically, as you say. And the problem that Neil's had, and we can't be too critical of him because the chances he's had have been bitty. They've been awkward. The table hasn't opened up for him. He's made a couple of balls off his break, but he hasn't been left with great layouts. And when he's chased that finish, which you tend to do once you go behind, you then make the game easy for your opponent. So, Neil's not been a million miles away, but just hasn't had the opportunities that Michael has.
Oh, you hate to see that.
Foul, ball in hand.
Oh, for Neil Raybone, he'll be thinking, well, about sums it all up. This is tough to take. Crunch the break. He's thrown it straight into the middle pocket. There you see the reaction. Longing glance at the table, a hopeful glance at the table. Bail me out, give him a difficult lie, make him miss. And it's difficult to see where it's going to happen at the moment. These yellows look inviting.
Yeah, hard to see where he can go wrong. I think Neil's fearing the worst, looking at the facial expression there. Only thing he needs to guard against is just the 2 at the bottom of the table. Just take those out. He could play down for a plant, or he might take the one nearest the pocket first. So it's just the order he takes these out in will just need to be worked out. But everything's got a pocket, so there's nothing really to worry about too much. It isn't the best cannon he could have ever got. Maybe looks like he's eyeing up the one to the centre pocket, but he does have the one over the right corner as the sort of other option. But the positional side of that shot isn't ideal either. Quite like that's quite clever. Just float it into an area where it doesn't look like he's getting great position on the yellow at the bottom, but he actually is really nicely on this, and it's a natural angle to land on his last yellow as well. Lovely choice there when the clock was against him as well.
This is the machine at his very, very best. In this sort of mood, there may not be anyone on the planet who can stop him. Neil Raybone certainly couldn't. It is Michael Hill who advances through to the Champions League of Pool final. Clean, clinical, and he didn't take much time doing it as well. That is a quick finish.
That was very impressive from Michael Hill. That really was. He obviously lost the first frame of the match, got himself back level, then once he got his nose in front, he was fantastic. I think I'm just looking at my notes here. He's gone break dish, reverse dish, golden break, counter clearance, break dish, reverse dish. So every single time he touched the table from 2-1 in that first set, he cleared up. Incredible.
What can you do about that if you're Neil Raybone? Not a huge amount. That's a superb performance from Michael Hill, and he'll make it through to tonight's final. We're yet to find out who he's going to play, though. Will it be the magician Chris Meling, or will it be Aaron Davies? We'll find that out next. We'll also speak to the man himself, the man who's guaranteed his place in that final, Michael Hill. Don't go anywhere. Well, welcome back to the Champions League pool here on Free Sports. Simon, that was a bit of a massacre from Michael Hill in our first semi-final of the night. A really clinical performance over a pretty dejected, in the end, Neil Raybone, who just didn't stand a chance in that second set in particular.
There are times in this game where you just don't get an opportunity. The break goes against you, and the finishes you get to take on are tricky. Your opponent gets the great opportunities, or they make them to look like great opportunities. But that was some finish there from Michael Hill to be able to turn the match around in the first set. I know it was only 1-0, but once he got himself in front, he was flawless. He just didn't give Neil an opportunity. I think the only time Neil actually touched the table, he had a very difficult break and dish to take on, and he left himself that really horrible double on the 8-ball, and it all went wrong. And that's the only chance he had from 2-1 down in the first set. That's tough to take.
Well, we bid farewell to Neil Raybone and wish him the best. We'll see him soon, hopefully, in our next competition here on Free Sports as part of the Ultimate Pool Group. But it's now time to move on to our second semi-final, and this one should be a cracker. It's Chris Melling versus Aaron Davies.
He is one of the greatest to ever play this game, Chris Melling, who is the magician.
Aaron Davies qualifies in first position. Our two fantastic players, and we spoke at the top of the show, Simon, it really is, this is a real clash. We talked about Michael and Neil being quite similar players, both very good at what they do, but it is quite similar. These two are a little bit different. You know, you've got Aaron Davies who's quite cerebral, and Chris Melling who's quite mercurial. They are very different in that way.
They are, and what we're going to look for in this match is for Aaron to play that match play pool, you know, wait for the right opportunity. If the clearance isn't on, he's going to play a good safety, wait for another opportunity. And to counter that, what Chris is going to try and do, if he gets first opportunity, he's going to try and take it. But if he finds himself in trouble, he's going to come up with something aggressive, something creative, something magical. As it's the way he does things, and it's what makes him so entertaining to watch.
He looked brilliant in that quarter-final as well. It's worth pointing out, Chris Melling. Maybe wasn't at his best in his group stage, but similar to Mick Hill, he seems to have built his way into this competition. He's starting to look very, very ominous. It's going to be some cracker, this one, I can tell you. Let's take a look at how both players reach this stage. Aaron Davies almost played perfectly tonight. That will do it for Aaron Davies. He is qualified.
I'm absolutely buzzing to get over the line there. It's a really good tournament to be part of this. A lot of top players, obviously 10 grand to the winner, which is not often you see that in the pool at the moment. So to get to the last 8 of this, really looking forward to it.
Oh, he talked about him being Houdini.
Oh, wow.
Goodness me.
Wow, that's incredible effort.
Aaron here is about to go very, very close to qualifying for finals night. Was it ever in doubt? But that's a tremendous victory for Aaron Davies, and a tremendous qualification from Aaron Davies as well. Sean Storey versus Chris Melling. Winner takes all in our final match of the night. He's been ruthless tonight, Chris Melling. And the magician joins the machine on finals night.
I'll treat him as another opponent. You know, he's no different to anybody that I've played tonight. Yes, he's been a former runner-up in the World Championships, but I've won it. So, you know, it's a different game, different mindset, and obviously there's a lot on the line.
Well, we're not trying to stoke the fires or anything like that, but just the slightest hint of a little bit of needle there from Chris Melling, all said in jest, of course. But this should be a real cracker. Two very, very different styles. The bookmakers couldn't really split them. Chris Melling is a slight favourite, but only just. And I think the big thing for Aaron Davies here, Simon, it may not come into any effect whatsoever. I think a big thing for Aaron is he wants to avoid a shootout. He wants to front run this if he can. It's difficult because he's up against Chris Melling, but if it does come down to these players being tied at the end of it all, you'd put your house on Chris Melling winning the shootout against Aaron Davies. That's the one area where he'd say is a big advantage.
Yeah, I would almost put my house on Chris winning a shootout against almost anyone because of having seen him practice it and seen the way he plays the game. But yeah, I think Aaron will want to get this done in regulation play, but can't do anything until he gets to the table. That's a great opening break from Chris Melling. It really is. One problem to solve. He may not choose to move. I was just looking at the red and yellow that are together at nearest the left centre. He may not need to move though. He may just be able to play on the red into the bottom left, even possibly the bottom right. It might go past the 8 ball.
You can tell the magician means business.
No, he has moved it, and he's moved it perfectly.
What a shot that is. Yeah, they've called him the magician. He's managed to make his hair disappear since the quarter-final. Means business tonight, doesn't he? In more ways than one. But I was chatting to him earlier. He's in very good spirits. And I think it's a competition and a night which makes even the likes of Chris Melling and Michael Hill, who have been there and seen it all and got countless t-shirts, etc. It even gets their ticker going a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you actually. I think there's, you know, this sort of thing doesn't happen that often in this form of the game.
Well, Chris Melling not here to play games. 1-0 in the blink of an eye. Super stuff from Chris, an excellent start from him. About as good as you can get, really. It was a decent chance, but there was some work that needed doing and didn't he do it so well. The Magician, 42 now. He's a two-time world champion and a two-time world master. He's won the Mosconi Cup a couple of times as well as being its MVP. He's been there and done it in multiple facets of the game. He's also been a snooker professional. That was only about 4 or 5 years ago, I think, as well. Held a pro card. Just give him a cue and he'll do some serious damage. And in fact, Simon, he was telling us last week in the quarter-final, wasn't he, that the way he approaches it, the cue sports genre, it doesn't really matter what cue he's done. So he's had a century break with a rack cue in a snooker club before, which is just incredible.
Yeah, he can do things with cues that most of us can only dream of, really. He is so talented. To be able to, well, that's very unfortunate for Aaron, not the start that he wanted. But just going back to Chris, you know, it's incredible to be able to change different versions of the game, different size tables, different size balls, different size cues. It's so hard to do and do well, and he does it brilliantly, and he really is as impressive a player as I've seen in any cue sport.
Yellow balls in play.
What a horrible start for Aaron. That was a massive, massive break from Chris and made very short work of the clearance to follow it. And all Aaron wants to do is get a ball himself and get into this match. And okay, the cue ball was running a little bit loose, but unfortunate to be kicked in the way it was.
He's a fantastic player, is Aaron Davies. But even the best players in the world need their chances. And so far, he hasn't had a sniff. He may well find himself 2-0 down in next to no time here. Just has to keep calm. It is a long way to go.
Chris can go a few different ways here. The 8 ball, I'm not sure if it goes into the bottom centre pocket as we look from the overhead, but it goes into 2 or 3 other pockets. So no real problems for Chris. He looks to be in that sort of mood that when you see him have an open table, you're massively surprised to see him not clear up, no matter how difficult the problems on the table are.
2-0, tap of the knee from Aaron Davies. He respects that work from Chris Melling, who turns 1 into 2. We've played 3.5 minutes. This is Aaron Davies. His nickname is Screech. Saved by the Bell fans will get that reference, but he is still only 23, and that's the thing that you always need to remember. Such a young player, and he's already got such wonderful experience at a young age. World and European champion at under 18 level a few years back. He was the World Championship runner-up last year at 22, which is a fantastic achievement for one so young. So you almost want to sort of temper expectations because of his age, but at the same time, he is at that level. He's good enough to go and start winning these competitions now.
He is, and I think there's a lot of people that believe that and have that expectation of him, but he's always downplayed it himself. You know, he's always been, you know, kind of talking about the fact that he's not even the best player in his family, and that you know, he's never one that likes to talk himself up as being one of the top players around. But those of us that have watched him play over the last few years know how good he is, and I do think that he's really starting to believe that himself now.
Chris making the final ball in motion there on that break. He's not left himself a great split. It wasn't a great break from Chris Melling. He's chasing reds. He'll have some work to do. He's talked about being mercurial. He's doesn't play stupid shots, Chris Melling. At least what he considers stupid shots. But he's naturally just about the most aggressive player you'll ever see.
Yeah, what it is for me is, I mean, his patterns and the way he sees finishes is still fantastic. He's as good as anyone out there, really. But it's when he gets himself into trouble, and you always do get yourself into trouble from time to time. He's got the ability to come up with the magic shot to make something happen when it doesn't look like it's going to. His finish here, he had one real bad ball to work out, and the cannon and then the pot down the rail. Now they are open. Every ball does have a pocket now. That's not ideal.
Yeah, this will test the cueing.
I didn't expect him to play the cannon. I actually thought that the red went past the yellow to the bottom right-hand corner, but maybe it's the angle he got left on the ball that felt he had to play the cannon, or maybe it just didn't go.
It was okay, actually. I was happy to play that with side just to check the cue ball into the yellow. And this could be 3-0 in next to no time. A little bit of work to do. Needs a good white ball here. And it's looking good. I tell you what, braver man than me playing at that pace into the middle pocket. Goodness me, that's when you know you're seeing the balls well.
Yeah, and I thought that was straight. I didn't think he could do much more than just drop it in and leave a really, really thin red at the top with a loose white, but he's created an angle, and here he is, simple 8 ball to make it 3 on the trot.
Well, this is some start from Chris Melling. Aaron Davies has not had a sniff yet. 3 finishes off the break for Chris Melling. There's still 14 minutes, or the best part of it, 13:45 left on the watch. This could be a very, very quick night at this rate, Simon, if they keep up like this.
Well, we saw the first 2-3 frames of the night. There was a couple of safety shots played and the odd foul here and there. Maybe Michael and Neil needed a little time to get into the match, but since Michael got in front, every frame has just been cleared up. It's been relentless from Michael and now Chris. What a way to start a match. Going break dish, reverse dish, break dish. You're just giving your opponent absolutely nothing, not allowing him anything to get into this match.
3 frames to 0. Time running.
Aaron Davies needs a ball off this, big time. Nearly got kicked in again. He has made a ball. Is he going to get kicked in? No. Okay then. Here's a chance, Aaron. It's not an easy one. And you're 3-0 down. But there is plenty of time left in this set. Contacts this really well.
Massive split, isn't it? He's nearly really unfortunate again.
Yeah. Just see him just have a look back at it just to make sure. Tricky opening pot, but once it's there, he's in with a great chance.
Yellow balls in place.
And these yellows do look inviting.
Yeah, great chance now. Every ball's got a pocket.
We mentioned right at the top of the show, Sam, you talked about you've not seen anyone better than Aaron play the shot clock, play the match clock in this tournament so far. We really saw that in the quarterfinal, didn't we? And he really has just got used to it and used it almost to his advantage now, which we don't see a lot of. It's still a relatively new concept. Players are just preferring to do what they've always done and just play the table, maybe give a secondary glance at the clock and worry about that after maybe, but Aaron plays with it and it's to his benefit.
Yeah, and he uses it, doesn't he? He uses the full clock. He's almost got I mean, I know there's big screens there, so he always knows how many seconds left, and then you get the beeps for the last 5 seconds, but it's almost like he's got a sixth sense in terms of understanding exactly how long he's got left. He seems to walk around the table and still have time to look at what he wants to do, pick out his patterns and that sort of stuff, but he never ever looks rushed on a shot.
That's despite playing what you'd perhaps call a slower style. It is more deliberate. He's got his mechanics of his action. It's very specific and unique. He never ever looks in a hurry so far in this tournament. This is awkward.
Yeah, that last positional shot just went wrong. You can see from this camera angle here, yes, the 8 ball goes, but that red, it just gets in your eye line. It's not blocking the full the middle of the pocket, but it might just be blocking the jaw, and it's easy to miss these thin. Easy to miss them thin.
And he has. Oh, it's tough to take that. That is tough to take for Aaron Davies.
And I know it's an 8-ball that he'll look back at and think that he should have made, but for me the bigger mistake was the positional shot he played getting onto his last ball, where it should have been really simple, and just left himself awkward where he had to go down the wrong side of the table to leave it to the half-blocked pocket. And that's going to really annoy Aaron, because even if he'd gone on to lose this set, you know, even if he wins that frame but still loses the set, at least he's made a break dish, he's up and running, he's into the match. That now he's lost that, or missed that 8-ball, and if Chris does clear these up, he'll be thinking about the mistake he made rather than the fact that he hasn't had much to go at. Not a certainty here for Chris to counter clear. Right at the bottom of the table, obvious problem. There is room to land on it to the bottom right. Looks like he's going to go another way and actually move the 8-ball away from the pocket just to open up that red at the bottom of the table. And it's gone wrong, but it's gone wrong with safety in mind for Chris.
Aaron straight onto figuring this angle out. If he hits it full ball, he'll go close to potting it. Only half though. It's not a bad result that for Aaron Davies. That really isn't, because I'm not sure Chris he's certainly not got an easy pot on, not an obvious one.
And not an easy safety either. You can't just roll up behind that red. You have to hit a cushion after contact, and that's not easy to do from the red he's nearest to. So he's going up the table. Well, he's gone for the double. But again, it's double with at least a degree of safety. He knew he wasn't leaving the cut in.
Is Aaron again looking at trying to play his cushion first? He is.
The advantage with cushion first is it can nudge the 8-ball over the pocket if it doesn't go in.
Looks pretty good. Oh, brilliant, Aaron Davies. Absolutely brilliant for the young man. Chris Melling played with fire a little bit there, and that's what can happen when you get it right, and that's what Aaron Davies did. You cannot even give these sort of level players even half a chance. I mean, that's quality.
Yeah, if you're going to play a safety, you need to really, get them tied up, because you can't risk them being able to play the shot like he did. But I suppose if you are going to give your opponent that sort of shot, then do it when you're 3-0 ahead. And it's still a great shot from Aaron. I fully expected him to hit the 8-ball, but obviously catching it full and making the shot, it really, what a way to respond from the mistake he made earlier on in the frame.
Yeah, and that just will settle him down a little bit, won't it? Because he's just superb at doing that. When he gets his chance to make it work, he needed that.
He is. I mean, I still expect him to lose this set. I don't think he's going to, pull it out, because he needs a lot of help from Chris, and Chris is breaking so well. You expect him to take one of his chances, but it will settle him down going into set number 2 if he does go on to lose the set. I think Chris, we'll see how this match pans out, but he would love to have wrapped that set up 4-0.
Yeah, I'll just settle him down a little bit as well. It is tough out there. We saw it with Neil, a player of his supreme quality in the last match. When you get a player of the quality of a Hill or a Melling starting to run away with it, it doesn't matter how good you are, it is difficult to hang in there, and that'll just make Aaron Davies feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, and it will stop some of the momentum that Chris has got, or that's the hope. We'll find out from this break whether it does. Another massive break from Chris. Look at all the balls travelled up into the top half of the table. A little bit congested up there for him.
Well, Chris Melling again has the first chance. It's not an easy one. Straight into it. Great opening shot. Swerve plans, anyone? To your opening gambit? Yeah, go on then.
Makes it look simple, doesn't he? I'm not sure if the red nearest those 2 yellows passes. I think from this main camera it looks like it definitely doesn't pass. So yeah, he's come round to have a look at it
Going to try and move it towards the centre pocket. He may do it off this shot now. He would be leaving a plant to the top left corner, but it looks semi-blocked, that plant as well. And that's gone wrong.
Oh, and Aaron Davies. You just see a little bit of movement in the top left corner there. He's just piqued his interest, and there is still a long way to go in this set, unless Houdini can pull something out of his hat here. He's done it before. Oh, it is a safety, and he's not happy with it either.
Not sure he's happy with the contact he got there. Maybe he felt it was a bit of a kick. Didn't quite travel as far as he wanted. Looks like he's done, yeah, you could see there it just skidded on him a little bit with the skiddy kick. But it's done the job. It's blocked the 2 yellows to the top right. It's not great from Aaron. May still be able to clip this one into the centre pocket, but it's awkward. Looks like he's going to go this other option, which is to play safe on and off the cushion, try and get behind the yellow he's playing. It's one he has to get right.
Yeah, this is a fiddly one. Well, there isn't many better on the planet at getting out of a snooker or a tricky situation than this man. Saw him play that incredible masse shot in the videos leading up to this match. He is so good at these sort of situations. Oh, but
Ball in hand.
now then.
Time running.
Little unlucky here, Chris Melling. He thinks he's hit this, but just the angle off the jaw here just straightens it. You're talking a matter of millimetres to the left there, and he's made a pretty good hit. That's a great opening shot from Aaron Davies.
Had to do it, yeah.
Because it's worth pointing out, you know, cue ball in hand isn't the biggest advantage as a punishment to a foul, particularly if you need to develop some balls. He's done everything he wanted to there in one shot, and that is difficult to do.
Yeah, in international 8-ball rules, it is just cue ball in hand anywhere on the table and just the normal one visit. So you have to kind of give yourself an angle on that first ball to try and open things up, and he's played his yellow off a red to open up that plant. And now he has the table at his mercy. Great chance here for 3-2. 5 minutes on the clock, plenty of time.
He's got the next break too.
Yeah, I didn't see this turnaround when Aaron missed the 8-ball. I was expecting it to be a very quick 4-0.
This is what can happen in this format of the game, especially when you give the time as well, because Chris was up early and up big, but it left plenty of time on the watch for a comeback. This is what you're seeing right now. Aaron Davies goes one behind with the cue ball in hand for the next break, and all of a sudden this semi-final is starting to look a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. This break for coming up from Aaron is absolutely massive, and so far for me he's actually hit the break okay. He's gone for a cut break on the first break and then a front ball break on the second break, and he's actually hit both of them really well. Very unfortunate with the first one, and then that second one looked like it was going to be a break and dish, but just the missed 8-ball that stopped him. Which way he's going to go? Is he going to stay with that front ball that works so well with the second break? I think he is.
This is a massive break. Needs a ball.
Oh, disaster. And this time it is bad break, really. First one, you could say he was unfortunate, but this time, look at the cue ball. It flies into that centre pocket. He catches this front ball all wrong. Catches it near a half ball than it does full ball.
Oh, he's got a pretty great temperament, Aaron Davies. It's one thing that really sets him apart from other players, particularly at his sort of age group as well, but even he can hide his disappointment there. That's about as emotional as you ever see Aaron at the table, but that will be so frustrating to him.
Yeah, especially look at the lay of the table as well. It's not like he hit them bad and it came out really congested and horrible. He's hit them bad and they've still pinged open, and these yellows are just begging to be cleared, really. This is
key shot here really for Chris, just avoid those reds, which were a bit of a blocker. He's done well to clear those so easily.
Yeah, this now should be routine from here, shouldn't it? Always work at one half of the table.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I guess the plant, if he plays it down the left-hand side, he's got to be careful where the ball he's planting goes, make sure it doesn't go too far away from the pocket, but there's no reds really there that are going to cause any problems if it does, so hard to see how this one can go wrong for Chris. Keeps it right over the pocket.
We talked about at the start of the match, I feel like Aaron Davies will want to front run this. It is difficult to see him winning via a shootout. If Chris Melling makes these next two balls, that is the exact way and the only way that Aaron Davies can qualify. Trouble ahead for Aaron Davies, but Chris Melling
First set, Chris Melling.
Puts one next to his name and maybe puts 1 foot in the final against Michael Hill. A great set in the end from Chris, but he was given a bit of a fright there from Screech.
He was, and that's going to be, I think that's going to help Aaron going into the second set. At least he's got a couple of frames on the board, at least he's taken a couple of opportunities, and he's going to make Chris think, but he needs his break to turn up.
He certainly does. We'll hear from Michael Hill when we come back as well. It's all to play for in our second semi-final. Don't you dare go anywhere. Welcome back to the Champions League pool here on Free Sports. This is how the first set of our second semi-final ended up. It was close in the end. Aaron Davies giving Chris Melling a little bit of a fright as he hit the comeback trail. And in the end, the Magician getting the win in that first set. Second set is still to come. There's still all to play for in that second semi-final. But before we go to that, it is time to hear from the winner of our first semi-final. Michael, it was a superb performance from yourself. A great win in the end over Neil Raybone. How pleased are you to be in the big one, in the final?
Yeah, no, it was nice. Obviously, I've known Neil since he's been, 12 years of age, like I said before. So there is some players that, you don't take a lot of pleasure in beating because you like to see them do well. And to be honest with you, Neil is one of them. He's a smashing lad, and if he'd have won, I'd have been pleased for him, and so on. But I thought I played a good match. He missed a planned combination, whatever you want to call it, in the second game, in the first set, which he would have gone 2-0, which would have maybe been a different story. Certainly the first set. It gave me a little bit of confidence, to kind of knock that finish in and get a bit of table time. And to be fair, I think I personally think I played flawless from the very first rack onwards, really.
And we had the conversation, I know, in the group stage, and again in the quarterfinals as well. It seems to be a hot topic, is your break. A golden break for you, maybe as some kind of break karma, if you could say. First one you've ever hit?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the first one I've ever hit in my whole life, no, but listen, people like to find a talking point, you guys like to find a talking point. I've been around long enough to know the story. You go on the social media and it's breaking this and breaking that. Listen, you have nights where you break the balls, and sometimes you hit them really good, they don't go in. Sometimes you hit them bad and you get one, and sometimes you hit them good and they go in. And there is an art to it. If you hit the balls better, you are entitled to feel like you should make one. But in general, if you hit the balls really good, you're still hoping that one drops in. Do you know what I mean?
And in terms of your table play, once the break's finished and you're at the table, it seems to be that you've really warmed up to this format. We saw you struggle a little bit initially with that time clock. You seem to be really just getting better and better with it as the weeks go on. Is that what you feel like as well? Well,
I'm the type of player, and not to kind of say, because I'm a top player, but most of the top players pride themselves on their pattern play. Now, for those that don't understand what pattern play is, it's taking the balls in the correct order. And, we pride ourselves on being the level that we're at because we take the balls in the correct order and we play the percentages of where to put the cue ball just in case we don't quite get where we want to be. So you take that little bit of time and you take that bit of care and you take that sort of kind of that route you want to take. which is the correct one, which is going to give you the best chance, obviously, clearing the table. So sometimes you need that little bit of thinking time just so that you're, mentally happy that you're doing the right thing. What I've decided to do, and I decided to do the last round, was try and play a little bit more on instinct. And if I then realise that I maybe have done the wrong thing, try not to let it bother me, because the format is going to basically highlight that. That's going to happen. You are going to sometimes make shot choice errors because of the format. Yeah. And the first week I beat myself up a little bit because I made some shot choice errors because of the clock, and I was getting frustrated with it. The last couple of weeks I thought, you know what, it's going to happen. I'm going to make mistakes in terms of shot selection because I haven't got time to think really what I want to do all the time, and just get on with it, and it is what it is.
It's gone all right so far, though. We'll see you in that final. Simon, it's all set up for a big one as we bid goodbye to Michael, and we set ourselves up for the second set of our second semi.
Well, great interview from Michael Hill. Fascinating to hear some of his thoughts on the game. But as we turn our attention back to this second semi-final, it's Aaron Davies to break off with it all to do. Did manage to get a couple of frames on the board in that first set, but it was a set that went Chris Melling's way fairly comfortably, and largely, or a large part of that, was down to the break. And Aaron hoping for a turnaround of fortune in his break. It is not going to happen with his first one, because this time he's come up dry.
It's difficult to chase 1-0 down in this format as it is, as we saw with Neil in our first semi-final. It can quickly get away from you in this second set. Aaron here not want Chris Melling to be that runaway train that we saw in that first semi. Every chance he could be, though.
Well, Chris does have one bad ball that Aaron will be pinning all his hopes to. The problem he's got is there's two reds up there that are going to give him angles to get into it, and he's going to attack it straight away. Oh, it's not come out great for Chris. Really hard to get to the potting angle of that red. Yellow is in the way.
Yeah, this is a touch awkward for him, isn't it?
Extension call.
I think he's going to have to try and either get across the left-hand side. Well, he's having a look to see whether there's enough room to land on that red, but it's very, very tight. And he doesn't have an angle to get across to the left-hand side of the table now anyway, so yeah, certainly some hope here for Aaron.
Oh, this is thin.
Yeah, Chris has played on that thin cut, and it looks too thin from our main camera angle. Slightly different from behind the shot. Went comfortably in the end. Great couple of shots from Chris to get that back on track. Well, I say back on track, he's still not in perfect position. Still chasing this finish.
Went comfortably in the end. These camera angles can play tricks on us. Oh, now then, that's a big problem. That is a big problem. What can Chris Melling do to get out of this? That is a rare error. What's he seen? Not much in the end. And Aaron Davies, you just feel, has to take these out if he's got any chance. This is a chance to stick it to Chris Melling here. He's made a bit of a hash of that clearance. Not like it was an easy one. There was multiple opportunities for him to get control in that frame and never really took it. And now, Aaron has the chance to get ahead, at least in this set.
Exactly what he would have wanted, sat in his chair. Opportunity to come here and counter clear, get that frame on the board. There's no problems. Red's not tied anything up. All down to the route he picks out. Amazing to see from that shot how much that Aaron actually has a little shake on the shot, something he's always done. We've seen that throughout this competition.
He's made this look smooth and simple. Boy, did he need this. Reminder, he has to win this set. And if he does, he ties things up. We go to a 6-red shootout to decide who faces Michael Hill in the final. Aaron Davies wouldn't have wanted that at the start of the night. At the minute, he is going to fight tooth and nail for it. It's a good start. 1-0 in the second set. Didn't he need that?
Perfect response, really. He'd have been so disappointed, sat down at his chair, coming up dry, hit the break really well, but that was a clearance, although I kind of thought Chris might get there. It was one that always felt like it might get away from him. He never got control of the finish, and his first developing shot just went awkward, and he was always trying to recover.
He's going to sort it.
Chris being the great champion that he is, the great player that he is, he responds well when he makes mistakes, doesn't let them build up and make mistake after mistake. He normally responds. I expect him to come up with a big break here. If he finds a ball, he'll be straight back to his work. What Aaron needs from his side of the table is he needs a dry break. He needs some help from Chris. Try and give himself a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of clearance, now that he's got that first frame on the board in this set.
Second frame.
Yeah, because he can't rely on Chris giving him opportunities open table. There just won't be enough of them, you feel. Judging by that, there might not be a lot of chances off the break either, although that might have come out horrible for Chris. He's absolutely creamed that, and he might not have a chance.
It's really unfortunate for Chris Melling, it really is. It's a massive break. He's caught that break so well, deserves an opportunity off it. And it's as good as a dry break, really, from Aaron's perspective in terms of, well, I was about to say there's nothing on, but I didn't think he could see that red, but he could.
Getting on to the next one was a nightmare, though, which is why he had to play to that sort of pace.
Extension call.
Frustration for Chris Melling. Still open table as well, and Aaron Davies is going to use his chance here, uses his extension, wants to see the light and make his pick.
Red ball's in play.
It's another opportunity where there is no problems to worry about, no clusters. Just has to pick his pattern.
And he is excellent at doing that. You know, something we spoke about with both Michael and Neil in our first semi-final, something Aaron does so well too. And something that Michael was alluding to in his interview there, you know, it's what the top players do better than any other, is that pattern play. You know, you tell me that all the time, Simon, but with all due respect, you're not Michael Hill. But he agrees too, and that's the one thing that separates the good from the great.
Yeah, and it's what makes the game easy. It's what they do to make the game look easy. It looks so simple because, you know, they just take out, you know, seemingly take out 8 straight pots or 8 simple pots, but it's the order they pick that makes it simple. If you take them in a slightly different order, you might end up having to take a trickier pot, or you might run out of position or snooker yourself or whatever it might be. And if you can keep the game simple and you can pick those patterns, and it isn't as easy as these guys make it look to pick those patterns, then you can have some really nice and sort of simple looking runouts.
Left himself awkward queuing on his final colour here again, Aaron Davies, but he should be okay. It should be a simple black. Saw him come unstuck with that in his good chance to win. Go level in
Frame.
the first set. No such mistake there. Aaron Davies goes 2-0 up. So all he can do is just keep chipping away. As mentioned, he will not want that shootout sign. We've already seen Aaron in one, and whilst he looked absolutely fine probably isn't going to be enough against Chris Melling. That's the sort of advantage that you'd expect.
Yes, but if you're in Aaron's shoes here, you know that's what you're going to have to go through. So you kind of have to put that out the back of your mind. And you know, it's what he does well, isn't it? Is the way he approaches the game. It's one shot at a time. It's one frame at a time. He's got himself a 2-0 lead in this set. Get himself a ball off this next break. See if he can take out a break dish and get himself 3-0 in front. And worry about that shootout, that 6-red shootout. Which yes, he will be second favourite in. But worry about that if and when he gets there.
Third frame. Aaron Davies to break, leading 2 frames to 0. Time running.
12 minutes and change remain. 2 frames on the clock. On the scoreboard, rather, for Aaron Davies. You think you have another one come up dry? No. This is a break that is something, I wouldn't call it typical of Aaron, that's maybe a little bit harsh, but we do see him break like this a little bit. He gets a decent split off the cut break, but doesn't quite generate the power, and that tends to see the balls track towards one side of the table. Leaves him lies like this, although I have a suspicion this is a slightly easier lie than it initially first appears.
Yeah, it's got an opportunity. Is that one red just below the left-hand centre pocket? That's the biggest problem. But if that will double, and I think there probably is enough room to make the double on it once the other balls are, or the red's out there. In fact, the red isn't in the way anyway.
You haven't got one.
Or maybe he could double it into the corner. No, that's what he was trying. I was thinking the double in the centre, but he was going into the corner from where he was. And
We tried to cause extension now. We heard our referee Scott say, no, you haven't got one, you're playing now. Didn't quite have the time to make that break work. And the issue he's got is this all of a sudden doesn't look as difficult now for Chris Melling.
a couple of things just going against Chris right now. That last break where he left himself awkward, and now he's left himself awkward again. He wanted an angle on the yellow to the bottom left to be able to go into the one bad ball he's got, which is that one on the left rail. He doesn't have that now. I think for Aaron it was the right time to go for the double, to take it on as early as possible. If it goes in, you've got a good chance to clear up. If it doesn't go in, at least there's plenty of traffic on the table for Chris Melling and his chance of clearing up.
You haven't got one.
Oh, Chris also trying to use his extension. Both players falling foul of that. Not a bad recovery pot. Considering he barely saw the line of that, that was all on feel almost, it seemed like. Worth pointing out as well, both players get an extension per set. Both of them using it earlier on. That's how you do the double into the corner pocket. He made that look so easy. That was such a difficult shot.
Yeah, but he waited, didn't he? He was annoyed that he didn't get the angle he wanted on that first ball. He waited and he reworked it so he could have the double. And then when you put it in terms of if you make this double, you're going to win the frame, you're going to back Chris Melling to do it.
Brilliant. Chris Melling goes back to within one. And he'll have the next break as well to potentially look to tie things up in this second set. A reminder, he doesn't have to win it. He could tie this second set, and it would mean that he wins overall to win through to that potential final with Michael Hill.
Both players having a good chat about it. Anyway, don't see that too often.
Frame number 4.
Chris's break throughout this match has been huge. He really does have one of the best breaks in the world and really showcased it in this match so far.
Yeah, that'll do it.
On cue, he has another massive break.
Just at first look though, Simon, this looks like a pretty horrible spread actually, considering the amount of balls he's got down holes. This is not an easy lie.
I think all the reds have a pocket though. Just having a first positional shot's difficult.
First instinct was the red didn't go to the top of the table, but yeah, I think it does. Yeah, you can see from the overhead, I think it squeezes by.
Once again, the little cannon has just gone against Chris. Wanted to be on one of the two reds to the bottom left, he isn't, so this is a much trickier pot than he wanted, and positional side's difficult as well. It was difficult.
Promise you.
Made to look so easy.
They really do make the game look easy at times, don't they? We are watching some of the very best players in the world tonight. Privileged to do so.
It amazes me how quickly they go from a layout on the table where I think, oh, this could be tricky. I could see some problems developing here. One amazing shot, you know, with a good cannon, and all of a sudden you look at the table and think, hard to see how they can go wrong. It can turn around so quickly.
Oh, it's going to be 2-2. And it's back in the balance. Chris Melling doesn't miss those. We're all square in the second set. Simple finish in the end for the Magician, but all the hard work was done in the early going in that frame, and we are truly watching some of the greats here tonight, and it is showing. Reminder of what we are seeing and what we have seen so far. Michael Hill winning through against Neil Raybone. 2-0 in the end, that one was. Won both of his sets. Aaron Davies and Chris Melling fighting for the right to join Michael Hill in tonight's final. 10 grand to the winner. It's not a prize pot, by the way, that's the winning prize. It is a fair carrot. That's a great break from Aaron. That's just what he needed. He's hit that so well.
You can see the difference in power between the two players, though. This is his best break of the night in terms of the power generated, and yet the split still isn't a great leave, really. I know it's a difference between a cut break and going for the front ball break that Chris has, but the chances that Chris is giving himself is just less work to do on than Aaron so far.
Yeah, Aaron's got a bit of work to do here. The reds on the left side of the table is a problem. The 8-ball could also be a problem. Could leave that for a double. He's not got a lot of time to think. Talked earlier about him being just about the best player of this shot clock and this match clock. But this just shows even he is being forced to rush. That's how difficult this is. He's looking to try and find an angle for a potential double on that red. But it is difficult. Has he got one, or is he playing safer? He thought he might have had one. Yellow in the way.
Trying to make something happen that perhaps wasn't quite there. Trying to do it early again, though. He's got the 8-ball and a yellow at the top of the table that are slightly awkward for Chris, so you sort of take a bit of a chance, but didn't have any safety options to go for anyway.
This is a fairly difficult clearance. 3 balls at the top of the table are all problems, really. Yellow on the left side rail isn't easy. This is going to be a high tariff finish if Chris Melling can pull it off. Is it going to be a skill shot?
That's what he's eyeing up.
Look at the bridge as well. All cue action this.
Positional side of the shot as well is fantastic. Very impressive.
That is magnificent from Meling.
Solves
so good.
Yeah, solves all problems in one shot. Fantastic.
And the execution of it. It's a skill shot. I don't think I've ever seen a skill shot played as a long pot before. That was incredible. To get that right is... You have to be so precise.
Yeah, and he was sort of hampered queuing as well. You mentioned
it from a mile away.
Yeah, I mean he does have a long bridge hand on the on the table. The cue is a long way away from the tip of the cue. I was going to say the hand's a long way away from the ball, but I didn't expect that miss. I have to be honest, didn't quite get the position he wanted, but I wasn't expecting the miss.
No, we're too busy waxing lyrical about the previous shot to notice that Chris has not really left himself too handy. And Aaron here, a chance to regain some control in the frame. He couldn't squeeze that red there. And
he hasn't left it easy.
but he's left it gettable.
Yes. Thin cut with lots of right-hand side. Not sure if he was trying to cannon the one on the cushion or not, but
it seemed like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
But he has got the option of that double, and I might have to play a couple here. He trying to drift it in off the red. He is. Where's the white? Safe, but is he snookered? Yes. He's played some great shots in this frame, but it still is getting away from him.
Yeah, it's one of those. Are you annoyed that you've snookered yourself, or are you happy that you haven't gone in off?
He's not got long here to figure out the angles for this. This is a bit of a... Oh, I tell you what. Oh, my goodness me.
I said this when he turned up for his group. He's the best I've ever seen at shots like this. When he's coming off a cushion, it's the amount of times he pots the ball coming off a cushion. It's incredible. Happens too often to be luck.
That is absolutely as played as well. But misses the 8-ball down the rail. Would you believe it? Oh, it's a funny old game sometimes, isn't it? And to be absolutely fair to Chris Melling, that is a horrible pot. Really difficult, but you just expect it to go in after what we've just seen. Aaron gets a little bit lucky with the white ball there. He's all right.
With all this going on as well, I've completely lost track of the set clock. And look, there's only 2 minutes 20 left on the clock. This is huge.
Oh, massive! Absolutely massive.
It's not a good angle. This a little bit straight. He's got to force it.
Yeah,
that's okay. I think he's straight enough that he can just screw to the right-hand side, somewhere near the centre pocket, and cut the 8-ball in. I'm not sure he can get closer to the 8-ball than that. I'm not sure it's worth trying to get closer to the 8-ball than that either.
He's got an interested observer behind him.
Oh, he was straighter on it. He was able to screw past that centre pocket and makes this 8-ball a lot easier.
Yeah, potted it in the right half of the pocket, didn't he? That's what we talk about sometimes. This game can be very simple, or it can be down to potting it so precisely. You're aiming for half a pocket, not a full one. That's a level. This is every second of the match clock, as he should. 90 seconds left. Aaron Davies takes the lead in set number 2. Oh, possibly my favourite frame in the tournament. That it had a little bit of everything, a little bit of match clock jeopardy. It has everything on the line, of course, but we also saw some incredible shots from both players, but some memorable ones from that man.
Yeah, and he sat there, he's going to be steaming, he's going to be angry with himself, because he would have been thinking if he could have made that 8-ball down the cushion, the frame, the match would be in his hands. It would be a case of making a ball off his own break, and it wouldn't matter what he did from there. He'd be able to kill the set clock and run the match out. But
would almost have been over. Darren needs to win. If he'd have been one behind at this stage, 2 frames in 2 minutes, it'd have been difficult. Chris Melling here has 90 seconds, needs a ball. Yeah, he's got one, and he's going to get his skates on.
Here we go. He's going to have time. 1 minute 20. It's not a lot, but this is Chris Melling.
For a place in the final, remember, if he wins this frame and ends up tying the set, he goes through.
Okay, these reds are not nice at all. Red at the top of the table above the centre pocket, that's difficult to land on, and these reds at the bottom of the table are horrible as well. If it wasn't for the set clock, I would say this is odds against clearing up even for Chris Melling, but with the set clock, and especially now, that 8-ball's just gone horrible.
Well, there is a reason they call him the magician. Can he conjure up something special here?
Great
Looking
shot.
a little bit more likely now. 30 seconds and change, 3 reds in the 8. He's not got long.
He's just had a look at that red that I mentioned right at the start of the frame. It doesn't look like it goes to the top left. Has to play for it in the centre, which is difficult. Oh, no. Oh,
Would
no.
you believe it?
Has jumped out the centre of the pocket. That is incredible.
Oh, I can't believe what I've just seen. Aaron Davies just has to play a shot. Wow.
Wow, that's so unfortunate for Chris.
I can't believe it. It's brilliant. And I think he makes this as well. This red goes, oh, it's straight in and out. I think it's the only one we've seen this entire tournament. I can't think of another one. There's not been many. It does happen every now and then. But it's so unlucky. And in the circumstances for it to happen there is incredibly unlucky. Chris Melling doesn't have that bounce out there. He's on his next reds, and he'd have been on the 8 ball for a ridiculous final clearance to put him through to the final. As it is, he's got to screw his head on because there's a 6 red shootout coming.
Yeah, he is unlucky there. He still had work to do. It wasn't, guaranteed that he was going to make the clearance, but you would expect him to. He'd have to come around 2 or 3 cushions to get onto the 8 ball, but he did land on the other red to the centre pocket, and it looked like the path was there. So I expected him to complete the clearance from there. But that bounce out is really cruel from Chris's point of view. But from Aaron's side of the table, he should be really proud of the way he's fought back into this match. It looked like he was going to lose that first set 4-0. Managed to get a couple of frames on the board, and then from there he's just had to fight and scrap and wait and take the chances when they came his way. And I know Chris will be annoyed he didn't get over the line, but Aaron should be very proud and happy to be in this shootout.
We're just hearing from outside in the arena that they've just lagged off to decide the right to go first. Chris Melling has won it, and he's put Aaron Davies into bat.
Yeah, and we should recap. This is a 6 red shootout, which is just a case. It's a race against the clock. You have to put all 6 reds in as quick a time as possible. The player that pots them the quickest will go through to the final. We can say, because we have seen Aaron in a 6 red shootout in the quarterfinals, he did it for seeding purposes with Neil Raybone. We would say against Chris Melling, who we've seen in practice, he is a second favourite. Chris is incredible at this, but anything can happen out there.
For a place in the final, Aaron Davies needs to put all of these in rapid time. Doesn't need to wait for the reds to stop. As long as the cue ball's still, he is fine to play. That's a lovely little plan.
We think anywhere, we used to say anywhere in the sort of mid-late 20s was good, but having seen Chris play, I think it needs to be the lower 20s. This is a target that Chris, I think, will be comfortable with.
Yeah, it's pretty quick from Aaron. Only 1 miss. Stops the clock at 31.95. I think against most, you'd say that's a reasonable score. It's close to par. You can see Aaron Davies perhaps a little bit frustrated. He's certainly got the blood pumping, that's for sure.
We have seen Chris do this in practice, and I think he's confident of anywhere around 20 seconds, I think, in a consistent basis. So I think
we saw Chris practice this a couple of, I think it was his group stage 1. Yeah. We saw him practice this, and he was having a laugh with us around the table. And he said, I reckon if I get a good run at these, I could go 10 seconds. That's the sort of level he thinks he can go at. That's not a good start necessarily off the break.
Oh, hello. This is going to be interesting. They didn't open up quite as he wanted. Now he's in trouble.
31 seconds to beat. It's a lovely little cannon. Just tease that one up. Going onto the cushion won't be too kind, though.
He's got time here. He doesn't need to rush this last shot. He has time. He might need 2 shots at it, though.
Doesn't need 2 shots. Chris Melling's in the final. Oh, he ran it close. He ran it really, really close. There's the difference in the end. A puff of the cheeks from Chris Melling, 6 seconds in it. But Chris Melling versus Michael Hill is your Champions League of Pool final. Oh, what a mouth-watering prospect, Sam, but what a finish to that semi.
I have to say, that was really entertaining to watch. I'm sure it's horrible for the players to play in, but after that break, because I know that going into that break, I'm sure Chris would have been really confident of beating 30 seconds because he knows what he can do and the speed he can do it at. But after that break, you almost saw that panic come across him, and that first 2-3 shots, it was a little bit frantic, but once he grabbed control of the cue ball, you could realise he had time just to take, make sure of those last couple of shots, and excellent stuff, and an excellent response to the way he was unlucky in the end of that second set as well, which was fantastic from Chris.
Well, they have had some battles over the years, haven't we? And this is set up for what should be an absolute humdinger of a final. When we come back, it's Michael Hill versus Chris Melling for the title. Well, here we are then. It will all come down to this. But before we get into our final tonight, Simon, let's reflect back on that crazy ending to our second semi-final. Michael Hill did it the easy way. I think it's safe to say Chris Melling did it the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, an advert break isn't quite long enough for us to catch our breath. That was incredible, the end to that match. It really was. It felt like the match was always going to go Chris as well. It felt like he had control of it. He actually felt like he played. It felt like he played some great pool. To me, he did play some great pool. He started off like a train and looked like he was going to run away with it. But for whatever reason, in that second set, when he was trying to make something happen, the nudges were going just the wrong way for him. He was having to work so hard to make clearances and potting balls out of snookers, and then missing that 8 ball down the rail. That's going to really annoy him. But then obviously the bounce out as well. What drama at the end, and that's before we even get to a 6-red shootout.
Just incredible, wasn't it? Let's think back to a couple of those magic moments. This is what we sort of are used to seeing from Chris Melling. He's done it so many times over the years, but it never fails to entertain. You always know there's a chance. But I think the one I want to talk about first is the snooker part. Just absolutely ludicrous.
It is, and if we were just watching anybody play pool, I would expect them to get out of that snooker because the ball's near a cushion. It is only one cushion escape. It's not that difficult to pick the angle to hit the ball. But Chris Melling, for whatever reason, he pots balls like that more often than anyone else I've ever seen. It's incredible. It happens so often you can't put it down to luck. I don't know how he's that precise coming off the cushion, but he pots those balls all the time, and it's incredible. I just don't know how he does it.
And talk a little bit about his mindset going into that 6-red shootout, because it seems like he had 1, 2, maybe even 3 moments where the match was his and then it was stripped away, and then all of a sudden when he's thinking as he comes to the table, okay, 31 seconds, I can do that, I know I can do that. He'll be thinking probably I can do that in my sleep. Break comes off and all of a sudden you can see, I think you mentioned it on commentary, little bit of panic.
Yeah, definitely some panic there when he realised that they didn't quite. When he was going for a little tap break, so all he has to do is make sure one ball hits a cushion. But the minute that they didn't open up quite, that he didn't have a great first opportunity, then it was going to be a little bit awkward. Then he had to start really running around the table. But you could see once he grabbed control of the ball, he actually had loads of time to spare. He could have finished it off a little bit quicker than he did. Once he grabbed hold of it, he really had control. And I think he was helped by the fact that he won the lag, so he was able to put Aaron in, and he could see what he had to beat. And he knew that 31 seconds for him, because he's practiced it, he's tested this out, he felt comfortable with that.
And just before we hear from Chris, who we managed to speak to in the ad break, just one quick word, Simon, if you may, about our losing semi-finalist, Aaron Davies. What a contribution he's made to this tournament and how close he came to making it all the way.
Yeah, and it's not just this tournament, it's every time we see him play now. He really is, he's just getting better and better and better. He's become one of the best players in the world right now. We've seen him go deep in so many tournaments. There's only a matter of time before he wins a big TV event. He is a fantastic player. Other players in the situation they found themselves in today, like he did, 3-0 down, having not touched the table, could have wilted and actually crumbled away and not really given up much of a fight. But he waited, he hung in there, he tried to get back into that first set, and actually he did a decent job to get back to 3-2 before another break went against him, and then in that second set it came easy to him. He had to fight and scrap. It wasn't like he was getting great chances. He had to really work hard, and he should take a lot of credit from not just the way he fought in this match, but the way he's played in this whole tournament. And I'm really looking forward to see how he goes in future events over the next few years, because I think there's some big silverware on the way for him.
Yeah, I look forward to welcoming him back soon. But as I mentioned, did get the chance to speak to Chris Melling as we were watching our adverts here on Free Sports. This is what the man himself said after that 6-red shootout. Well, Chris, we've just dragged you in after that frantic ending to that match. 6-red shootout, just got over the line. What are your immediate thoughts?
Well, just happy to still be in. Obviously, Aaron's a great player, and he showed his mettle there at the end. He could have given in when I won the first set 4-2, and I was 2-0 down. I didn't have a good opportunity, really, and a couple of times I felt I was a little bit unlucky, but all in all, I thought I played pretty well.
Some magical moments, as we always expect, but did you almost have to get your head back in the game at one point, towards the end of that match especially? Some great shots, but it just seemed like it still wasn't quite going your way.
Yeah, like I said, there was a couple of times where I had to play cannons, and there was a ball where I potted the ball in the corner and cannoned, there was a yellow and red together. I cannoned it perfect, and it's gone tied up. And there's only one way I could pot that ball, which was to play it thin. I overhit it slightly, but I mean, like I said, I thought I played well, but you know, it gave me a tough game there.
Some final queued up, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, me and Mick go back a long time, from juniors going to Germany together. And then obviously we've been really good friends over the last 20 years. And, you know, in the beginning, Mick had the edge. He was beating me a lot. But over the past 5-6 years, we've not played many English 8-ball tournaments between us. But it's been pretty even, really, so I'm looking forward to it.
So are we. Best luck.
Cheers.
Well, there's the words from the great man, and a very relieved Chris Melling as well. I think that was the overriding emotion I got from him, Simon. What an important win that was for him, and it sets us up, doesn't it, for, some would call it the dream final. When the draw was first made, this was seen from the outset as, oh, that could potentially be a matchup, be a meeting later on down the line. And here we are now at the final. These two are the finalists, and it is set for a real humdinger, isn't it?
It is, and of course we've already seen them play once before. It was big news really when they played earlier on in the tournament, because it had been a while before they'd played in a TV tournament against each other, and it was Michael that came out on top on that occasion. But yeah, I think when the draw was done at the start of the tournament, I think these were two of the big names that people were looking for, especially here on Free Sports, because we haven't seen, it's the first time we've seen Michael on Free Sports, and we'd only seen Chris in a couple of earlier shootouts that didn't really go his way. So I think there's a lot of expectation coming for these guys, and for them to turn up and get to the final in the way they have, they deserve a lot of credit for that, and just once again, you know, showing why we consider them to be two of the all-time greats in this game.
And we talked about it a little bit when they played against each other, but it's rare that you find a matchup like this where you've got two such wonderful players who are genuine greats and Hall of Famers and all the rest of it, but they're so wonderfully matched. You know, they are good friends and friendly off the table, but you know, on one hand you've got the magician, on the other you've got the machine, similar to what we saw in Chris's last match. Michael is sort of, he's cerebral, he's bulletproof, he makes his patterns, whereas Chris is that mercurial player. They really do, they are like yin and yang almost of pool in that way. It's a beautiful matchup, isn't it?
It really is. It's a fascinating matchup, and I think when you've got players of this level, it will come down to which player can get the chances, or how good are those chances. If we get, you know, I think both players will probably end up chasing some finishes, especially Chris. You know, if he can take those out and put the pressure on the Michael, then you know, we could see, you know, Chris walking away with a trophy. But on the other hand, if Michael gets all the opportunities and gets off to the start like he did against Neil, you know, he made Neil Raybone look like a passenger in his semi-final, and Neil didn't do much wrong. It was just the brilliance of Michael Hill, who had chances and he took them, that got him over the line in that match. So this is a real fascinating matchup, and it's a really tough one to call.
Yeah, I think we're just about ready to go. Yeah, here we are. Oh, Simon, I'm excited, I won't lie to you. Chris is going to break first. Same as before, 2 sets. If you win over 2 sets, you win the match. If we're tied, we go to a 6-red shootout. Chris has made a ball. He'll be the fresher player, make no mistake about that. He's barely off his win against Aaron Davies.
Yellow ball's in play.
It's another massive break from Chris. So far his break, I'm not sure if he's had anything other than making a ball off the break so far. I don't think he's been dry or missed a trick on his break yet. And look at the split he's left himself. Okay, yes, the back end of this finish is going to be a little tricky, but there is room for the 8-ball. Yes, there's room to land on that yellow down the rail.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Simon, as we enter into this match. Michael or Chris, who are you backing?
Oh, I said at the start of the tournament, or fairly recently on a podcast, that I think Chris is probably the player I would have picked from the quarterfinals onwards because of that X factor that he has. Given an even number of chances in this match, you just can't pick a winner. But it's when the players run into trouble and they've left themselves awkward. It's Chris's ability to come up with something incredible. He may well need one here, or has he got just enough angle to get through to that 8-ball? He's overhit the positional shot by probably a foot. Oh, he had just enough angle.
Easy as you like in the end. It's another finish off the break between these two. It has been relentless, Paul, from the pair of them right from the get-go tonight. Now, we saw in Michael's semi-final against Neil, it was finish off the break after finish off the break after finish off the break, and in many respects it was more of the same from Chris, wasn't it? Relentless against Aaron, particularly in that first set. Didn't quite have the chances in the second to be that, and Aaron got back into the match really well. But just the standard tonight that's been set by these two in particular has been amazing.
It's been incredible. I think between the two of them, at the back end of Michael's match and the beginning of Chris's match, was 9 consecutive clearances, which is incredible. Oh, massive break. That's possibly, no, that's definitely Michael's best break in the whole competition. Yet, he hasn't got a great first ball, but
I'll raise his golden break tonight, by the way.
Well, apart from the golden break, which is obvious, yes.
But yeah, absolutely. Look at that.
Extension called.
Amazing split. And he scored his extension. Just have a look at this. He'll want yellows, that's the thing, but it's a difficult opening shot on yellows. Said it was difficult. It was. But he's in pretty good position, I'd say.
Hampered queuing on this shot to the top right. If he can get to the middle of the table here, it should be job done for him.
He's made those two opening shots look so ludicrously simple. They really were difficult. He's actually overscrewed the white here. He's wrong side of this yellow into the middle. But he's got plenty of room in and out of ball should he need it.
Yeah, wants to be on the yellow on the right-hand side. Wouldn't want to have to play the yellow over the bottom left to get onto the one on the right. So needs to be on that one first, and probably a little bit further away from it than he wanted. But positional side of this shot's not a problem for him. All his focus can be on the pot.
See it, dead straight on the 8-ball hit. Easy as that. Well, no one's blinked just yet. One apiece.
Well, what a response from Michael. For me, other than the golden break, his best break of the competition, and 2 great shots to open it up, and then it never looked in doubt from there.
Well, just in case you'd forgotten, we'll remind you, we are dealing with 2 of the greatest of all time. The machine, Michael Hill, the 6-time world champion, current 3-time reigning world champion as well. He's won 4 out of the last 5, 6 European titles to boot. He is the world
Chris Melling to break.
rules number 1.
Time running.
Chris is hitting these breaks so well. Just hear from the noise it makes. It sounds like a car crash when he hits it like this.
He's just got the perfect cue action for breaking massive. He's got a really long cue action. He goes back a long way and he drives the cue through a long way. Generates so much power, so much pace with control. It is incredible.
Quarters extension there, did Chris? Just get a little look at these.
Yellow ball's in play.
Should be all there, you'd imagine. Just needed to figure out his pattern. Heard from Michael earlier. That's what separates the likes of these two from the rest.
Yeah, and he's now worked it into a position where it's essentially could be straight pot all the way through now to the 8-ball if he lands with position. Potentially a fraction more angle than he wanted. Yeah, just a little bit more. I thought he could just drop that in and play for this yellow in the centre, but had too much angle. But it's the same difference in terms of he's on this yellow to the top left now and have the one in the centre pocket. Imagine he's looking to land straight on the yellow to the bottom right hand pocket, and or just past straight. He wants to be straightish on the one by the 8-ball. That's the trickiest 2 balls to land on in this finish. More angle than he wanted. I don't think he can just drop this in. I think he might have to go on and off the cushion, which will cause him a problem if he does. He has gone on and off. And now he's got an angle where he's going towards the 8-ball rather than just dropping onto it. So just losing a little bit of control at the back end. Oh, what a cannon though.
That's the difference, isn't it? They just see that so quickly, these two. Not only did he see the cannon, which I think we all did, I thought, oh, that's not ideal. You can see the angle of it straight away. Plays on it. Brilliant work from the magician. 42 now is Chris Melling from Keighley. And we talk about titles. How many do you want? 2-time world champion, 2-time world master, 2-time Mosconi Cup winner, as well as the MVP. I think in 2012, I think that was. And just a phenomenal cue artist.
Number 4.
His list of titles goes on and on and on. It's endless across
really
multiple sports. It's incredible, really.
Yeah, both these two have crossed codes, as it were, into different forms of the game.
Oh,
wow.
That is very fortunate. First dry break in this match, and Michael Hill has been a little fortunate. I say he's been fortunate. He was unlucky not to make a ball because it was a fantastic break.
Oh my goodness.
What a shot.
Oh, what are we seeing?
That's
smelling.
That's incredible. So this is a screw back 3-ball plant. That's just brilliant. Great vision from Chris. He's actually been a little bit unfortunate himself because he's knocked a yellow onto the side cushion now, and I don't know whether it doubles past the 8-ball.
I don't think the word vision does it justice. It's imagination, isn't it? I don't think anyone else even thinks about that. That is amazing. That is why they call him the magician. That is why we bang on about this man, and why so many around the world absolutely love him. He's having to fight it though all the time. This is so difficult.
That one was always going to be odds against it going well for him. He was always knocking a yellow towards 2 reds, so he needed some form to land on it or for it to stay in the open. Now that it hasn't, he's actually, oh, what a shot that is. Oh, that's really unfortunate as well. Developing that ball at the bottom from where he was, but I think he was odds against making a finish from here anyway. That yellow at the top of the table is going to be so difficult to develop.
Oh, it's just unlucky though, isn't it? One of those where you say, you know, he deserves a bit of luck there.
Michael with cube on hand, just giving himself the perfect angle to knock out his worst ball. And now he has the layout as he needs them, everything in the open. purposes leaving the 2 at the top for his last 2 balls. Mop these ones at the bottom up. And then either order at the top and job is done. I think that's what we're going to see more of in this match is Chris is always going to try and chase a finish. That was, I think, odds against once the second cannon hadn't gone well and it had knocked it safe at the top of the table. I think we might have seen other players look to play some sort of safety, a containing shot, something to slow it down. But Chris still, he's got so many shots and so many weapons that he just believes he can clear up from anywhere. And he often does.
Yeah. Just awesome.
Frame.
Standard of this match so far has been brilliant.
Well,
this is what we've seen so far. 2 semi-finals. Michael Hill, excellent in dispatching Neil Raybone, who didn't get a look in at all in that second set. Was handily defeated in the end. And Chris Melling through via a shootout against Aaron Davies. A fantastic second semi-final, which could have gone either way. It set us up for what we see right now.
Time running.
Michael Hill versus Chris Melling. 2 apiece, 10 minutes left of this first set. Both players breaking really well.
I'd say this is the worst break Chris has hit tonight in terms of quality of contact. He just doesn't quite get it as cleanly. And it's still, you know, it still opens up. It's still a decent split. It's not like it's a bad break. He still makes a ball, but very congested here at the bottom of the table.
Yellow ball's in play.
I think that was an out-and-out fluke. Holding up his hand. I think he was trying to pot a ball to the bottom left corner and missed it by a long way, and actually very fortunate to make the double. The other side of the break, other side of the shots come out well. He has opened up things.
Yeah, I think I just saw a wry smile on Michael's face there in the corner. That's a lovely shot if he lands behind this.
He's on this nicely. Can't get the cue ball away from the cushion. So can't do a huge amount more than drop it in and try and leave something from awkward distance.
Yeah, a little bit congested here. Has to pick this one really well. It's something he does do really well.
Key positional shot here. If he can land, get somewhere near the middle of the table from here, should be plain sailing after that. Has to just negotiate a little bit of traffic, which he's done well.
Well, courtesy of that fluke, I still don't think we've seen a missed pot yet. we've seen an in-off, which gave us our only finish not off the break, but the standard so far has been everything that we hoped it would be between Chris Melling and Michael Hill.
That was a massive bit of fortune for Chris. You feel that if it doesn't, excuse me, if he doesn't make the fluke there, then Michael makes that clearance. It was tricky, but both players play at such a high level. You expect them to pick a route when the balls are open, like they were. So a massive break for Chris. But he did the right thing. You know, there is going to be a little bit of fortune out there from time to time. You have to take advantage when it comes your way.
Hill to break, trailing 3 frames to 2. Time running.
It's worth pointing out that Chris Melling now is at set point, as it were. Needs one more frame to ice the set. Michael needs a ball. Oh, now then. An opening for the Magician.
He's hitting the break really well. You feel that
couple of dry breaks that Michael's had in this match. He hasn't been through a bad break. It's just the way it's gone.
Oh, now that is a missed pot. Chalk that one up. That is a rare missed pot.
I suspect when Michael sat down, he wasn't expecting another shot in this set. He was hoping for one, but it's come very quickly.
Yeah, there's no way he's expecting it, is there? Absolutely no way he's expecting it. That was a surprise. It's not an easy shot, but it's one you absolutely expect Chris to take. He's just trying to hold the white in the middle of the table, isn't he? Which might have been a factor.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful shot from Michael, just to flick the 8-ball out the way. And
it's those little touches, isn't it, with Michael? It's his own form of magic in a way. You know, you see far more extravagant things from Chris. He does some things that some players just can't do and don't even think to do. But what Michael does so well is just those little flicks and touches.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, only he'll be able to say this, but the first shot where he played to get onto the bottom cushion, I was looking at it thinking, well, last thing you'd want to do is leave yourself straight, which it looked like he had. So for me, it looked like he'd overrun position by a few inches. But, you know, in hindsight, having seen the shot he played, I suspect he was playing to get on the bottom cushion because he knew he had just the perfect angle to play then the cannon to open everything up. So it's to have the vision to play that and then the precision to play that as well.
Yeah, these two, in their own ways, are just built a bit different to others. I haven't said that though.
Yeah,
this is a rare one from Michael Hill, and he's up against it here. Is there a way? He needs to summon up the sort of Chris Melling powers of recovery here. 6 seconds.
Double off the yellow in the middle.
It's got to be what he's playing right. Couldn't get the angle. Oh, what a let-off. What a let-off.
At least from Michael Hill's side of the table. He's knocked a yellow awkward on the right-hand side, and he's knocked 2 yellows awkward on the left-hand side. But now he's going to be in a world of pain. It was a big error as well. There was a huge margin of error for Michael to land on the red he was trying to land on. So
it was almost like it was... don't necessarily want to accuse him of it, but it almost seemed like a bit of a complacent shot. It's something you absolutely never expect him to do. Oh, that's clever.
He's got to hit a cushion. Oh, he hasn't. It's another foul. Have to hit a cushion after contact. International 8-ball rules. Other rule sets you just have to hit your ball from a snookered position, but
you can see there, that's the error originally which led him to this situation. Halfway house of nowhere, really. But it's a tough one with that last snooker, because you just think if he's played it with a little bit more pace, he makes the pot, but it's the pace to get the line right, isn't it? You couldn't have played it much quicker, because that's
just the angle. Yeah, it's the worst thing about fouling in that situation, and I know he's come the way he's come because he's trying to pop the ball, but it allowed Chris to put cue ball in hand, which meant he could get on the one ball that was going to be really difficult for him to land on. Chris was able to by hand put himself perfect, and the rest of the balls are in the open.
Just have a feeling that in half an hour's time, might be looking at this frame has been a real important one. Chris Melling, 3 yellows and an 8-ball away from going 1-0 up in the Champions League pool final.
A little short of perfect. His pot now becomes missable. I don't expect him to miss it, but could have been easier.
Absolutely perfect for a
First set, Chris Melling.
bullet straight 8-ball, and Chris Melling takes the advantage in the opening set of the final. A fascinating watch. Both players playing at the highest level. So few unforced errors, but in the end, It's Chris Melling who is out in front, and now Michael Hill can only win via a shootout. He's up against it.
Yeah, he is, and he'll be really annoyed with that foul as well. It won't be not necessarily the foul, more the positional shot before the foul. But you could see there on the stats that he's sort of working on scraps compared to Chris. Chris had first opportunity 5 of 6 times, 3 break and dishes. He really took it to Michael in that set, and we will talk about the fact that he had a little bit of fortune when he missed the ball and ended up fluking it and going on to break dish. But actually, you don't want to talk about the little bit of fortune he did have, because he did so much good stuff in there as well.
Yeah, an amazing match so far. We hope you're enjoying it at home as well. The conclusion is when we come back. Welcome back for the final set of the 2021 Vinny.co.uk Champions League pool. Chris Melling is 1-0 up. Michael Hill must win this set in the next 20 minutes, or Chris Melling is the champion. If Michael Hill wins it, we go to a 6-red shootout. If it's tied, or if Chris Melling wins it, he is the champion. And that is the worst possible start.
Yeah,
Hill, he's unlucky here.
I was just thinking that that's a break that's not gone his way, and then 2 yellows drop in, and then the white followed it, and it's a decent split here for Chris. A couple of little problems, but a decent chance. Cue ball in hand anywhere behind the line with a foul off the break in international 8-ball rules. So it doesn't look like he can solve the little cluster of 3 balls together on the left-hand side.
Yellow balls in play.
On his first shot. I was expecting Chris to go reds, actually. I thought the reds might be easier to solve, but he's obviously got a plan on this yellow.
Yeah, he's eyed it up. He's got the line into it now, but how's the cannon come out? Well, pretty good, all told. I think he's through to the yellows at the bottom of the table, should he need them. Can probably clip the yellow into the middle as well. I think it's a pretty good result, really.
It's thinner than it looks, but it's controllable, I think. Oh, he's got the plant. He can see through to the plant. Makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. Gave him options, and, you know, I think in that situation, most players just want one option. Chris actually played it so well, he did have 2. And this is off Michael Hill's break as well. And Chris has been breaking a dream. This is going to be a tough comeback here for Michael Hill if he's to lift this trophy. So Chris Melling is going to go 1-0 up. Never in doubt on that shot. A tap of the knee from Michael Hill. He respects the quality of that clearance. It was a touch understated in the end, Simon, especially as it came off a cue ball in hand moment. But that was a high tariff clearance from that man.
Yeah, all hinged on one developing shot that I just didn't think wasn't lined up to go particularly well. But he played it with control to nudge it all open, and from there it was made to look simple. But this break is really still hurting Michael Hill. What have we now had? 7 frames in this match, and Chris Melling has had the first opportunity 6 times. It's hard for Michael Hill to get in front in this match, or even in this set, if that trend continues. Once again, Chris Melling gets first opportunity, and so far in this match, he's had 3 breaks and 3 break and dishes. This is break number 4.
It's so hard to compete with this, isn't it? It's the same for any player. It's not exclusive to Chris Melling. When your opponent is breaking as well as this and getting first opportunity all the time, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're 6-time world champion Michael Hill. It is so difficult to go against it.
Yeah, well, we saw exactly the opposite for Michael in his semi-final. What's happening to him right now is what he did to Neil Raybone in the semi-final. Chris just trying to work out which way he wants to go. Possibly going up the table, because if he goes down the table, He's got to play around with those 2 yellows by his hand, so now probably save those 2 for his last 2 balls, which isn't really a problem either.
If this goes to plan for Chris Melling, which you expect it will, the next frame is huge. Next frame is so big. Next break is so big.
Yeah, it's definitely for Michael. Needs to get a ball off that break. Chris has just overrun his positional shot now, making the next positional shot not guaranteed. But he negotiates the position nicely enough. This pot's now from further away than he would have wanted if he had better position on that previous ball, but it's now back to just a simple stun shot.
He is making the game look so easy at the moment. Chris Melling is a setup and 2 frames up. He is edging closer to the Champions League title. And Michael Hill now really needs something off this break. If it is to come up dry, Simon, it is starting to look very iffy. He needs something to happen. He needs it to happen now.
Yeah, if he comes up dry, you get the sense it might even be his last shot in the match, such as the power and the quality of Chris's pull right now. You know, he's broke-dished every break in the match so far.
Which is ridiculous.
It really is. And he's also had a reverse dish as well. So if Michael doesn't make a ball here, you start to fear the worst for him. But you know, he'll still believe if he makes a ball here, he can get himself back in this match. But he needs the first opportunity.
It's such a crazy standard. Oh, he's not hit it well. Can he get a ball at least? Yes. That's all he wanted. This isn't the nicest lie. The bottom left of this table's pretty horrible. But all he would have wanted was a ball. Just give me a chance. And he's got one. You can see there it's not a good break. But he's got something to go at, which is all we can ask for.
Red ball's in play.
Reds is the call. Is he just going to be able to kick this yellow out the way of these 2 reds? Is that the idea here? He's just lining things up.
He's got the control, he's got the option, he can do almost what he wants off that ball.
Might not even have to play it, might just play around it.
He missed the cannon by so far that if he was playing a cannon and he didn't get it, it would have been a surprise. I'm sure he wasn't.
Yeah, because he's played that shot.
Seen it a different way, and
it's the old one, isn't it? That's why he's out there wearing it.
No doubt about it.
His vision for the game is it goes back to what we were saying right at the start of the match, doesn't it, Simon? You know, these 2 players are so brilliant, but they are brilliant in their own ways. They're chalk and cheese in that way. The way that Chris sees the game is unlike anyone else, and the way that Michael sees the game, he just sees it on a different level. Feels like he's in the Matrix sometimes.
Yeah, and he said in an interview earlier on tonight that that's what he really prides himself on, is that the pattern play. It's seeing the routes to make the game easy. That is why he has 6 world titles to his name. He's made what could have been a very difficult little clearance with that cluster at the bottom of the table look very simple.
He made it look so simple. Really wasn't an easy clearance at all. Brilliant from Michael Hill. The machine clicks back into gear. Just turning it on.
Well, the 2 times that Michael's made a ball in this match off the break, he's gone on and made break dishes as well. So it's not the opportunity. It's not the taking the clearance out once he's had the opportunity. It's getting those opportunities that's really hurting him in this match. And he's going to need some help from Chris's break if he's going to get back in or tie things up.
4th frame. Chris Melling to break, leading 2 frames to 1. Time running.
Chris made a ball. He hasn't hit that break at all well, but he's look at that for a lie. Look at that for a split. He's hit this break terribly.
Yeah, his reaction tells you that as well.
Yeah,
not happy.
You could argue it's one of the best splits he's left all night. It would just feel like when it's going for you at times, it really is.
Red ball's in play.
This is now a wonderful chance for Chris Melling to go 1 frame away from the Champions League title and 10 grand.
No clusters to worry about. Okay, it looks congested, but everything has a pocket. I thought that might go wrong if he sat on the 8 ball, but it's not. It's perfect.
It's millimetre perfect as well.
Absolutely,
Couldn't have rolled it any further, or it would have been end of visit.
I would have thought he'd want to get rid of the red at the top of the table as early as possible. May go up for it now. I'll be surprised if he leaves it for his last ball. Would make getting on the 8 ball tricky.
Yeah, you'd imagine the 8 ball's going either to... It's got to be going to the bottom left. It's got to be the plan.
I actually think we saw a little flash of the camera angle to the bottom right there. I think he can pop both of these reds independently into the bottom right. I think obviously the one nearest the cushion goes, but I think the one just inside it goes as well. You can see on this camera angle there, perfect angle on the one just on the inside to play onto the one on the rail.
It's just perfection from Chris Melling. 1 from home. He is almost there. He is almost there.
It's an exhibition in breaking and dishing from Chris Melling. It really is.
Feels like an exhibition match. It really does. But this is a final, a major TV tournament. The lack of nerves, the quality of play. It's been breathtaking. It's been so good.
It really has. There's a lot on the line out there for both these guys, and they're playing like it isn't. It's Michael just looking a little bit dejected in his chair. Hasn't done a huge amount wrong in this match. The only real mistake I can remember was that positional error. Other than that, he has just had less chances.
Time running.
Needs a ball, otherwise it could be curtains. Wow, you can't hit them harder. When you needed it most, Michael Hill has served up a banger of a break.
It's massive, isn't it? Caught them beautifully. Deserves to make a ball and deserves to have a good split when you hit them as well as that.
Extension called.
Extension called, which is understandable. This is a really important visit. Michael Hill just needs to stay in the game. He knows it's out of his hands now. Even if he clears these, which he'll be hoping to do so, be expecting to do so, Chris Melling will have the next chance off his break.
Yellow ball's in play.
And at the minute, you just can't not see Chris making a ball and giving himself a chance. Even when he hits them badly, he's giving himself a great split.
I don't think he's had a dry break yet tonight. I think he's had 12 breaks and he's potted off all of them.
I think 10 or 11 of them have been finished off the break as well. It's been that sort of standard. I think Michael Hill was just okay on that time. Foul over with a smile. As long as he hits the cue ball before the buzzer goes, he's okay. Referee Scott giving him the thumbs up. It's tight, but he's all right. Just to thread the needle there, he's all right.
Yeah, just thinking he needs to avoid the red, but actually he's not too bad because he's got the one in the centre pocket, but it's going to leave a bad angle on whichever yellow he can play on, so I wonder if he can cut back the one nearest the corner pocket. It's very thin.
Yellow is the choice. Well, that is a rare sight. The last thing I expected Mick Hill to do was to miss that pot.
Took it into the corner for positional purposes. Makes the pot harder, but still did not expect him to miss it.
I'm trying to think, that might even be his first missed pot of the night. There hasn't been many. You know, phrase about rocking horses that I'm thinking of right now. That's how rare it is, you know. Chris has got himself a bit of a challenge here. Oh, cued that beautifully. This is his chance. This is his chance.
It's just those two reds at the bottom of the table. They've just gone awkward. I'm not sure if the top one of the two goes. I think the bottom one does if you can get on it, but then playing on the next one is delicate.
Oh, well then. Well then. Tough pot. Played it with a degree of control. Knew he'd leave nothing simple. And knew he'd have frame ball if he made it. So, a good shot. Let's let Michael back in. Can he squeeze it past? Yes, he can. What a shot.
I think he was playing cushion, then red to pot it. He caught the red and the cushion almost at the same time, but it's squeezed in and it's done the job. Everything's opened up. So a let off here for Michael Hill.
Yeah, he can screw straight back off this as well. Got into that beautifully. Well, let off indeed, but he's still got plenty more work to do. It's the bare minimum is winning this frame for Michael Hill. Kept himself in the game, but he still needs to win 2 more frames to force a shootout after this. But he stays alive.
Frame.
He stays alive, and a wry smile on the face of Michael. Got away with that one a little bit. It's a brilliant shot, that.
Actually, you could see on the replay, he does just catch the cushion first. It was perfect. Played to perfection from Michael Hill.
Yeah, beautifully played by Michael Hill, and it's still in Chris Melling's hands. It was a really difficult clearance that for Chris Melling. Couldn't quite make it work, but he's hoping to go back to the old faithful, the break, to give him that opportunity one last time.
Hasn't failed on his break yet, not on the night, but hasn't failed in terms of break dishing in the match. So Michael, I'm sure, will be sat in his chair fearing the worst, and Chris is going to be just hoping for one more opportunity off that break.
Leading 3 frames to 2. Time running.
7 minutes left, 1 frame needed. Oh, what a hit! What a hit! Has he been rewarded? This might have come out horrible. He's hit that so hard, but he might not have given himself a chance.
Some real problems at the top of the table. There was some real problems at the top of the table. They've still come out poorly. Clever shot to open it up. Clipping the yellow back, using the red to open it, but they haven't opened up nicely for him.
Break like that deserves a split. Like
It
that
does.
He's hit that break so well. That's a safety. It's a rare one. Michael Hill has been left with very, very little though. And the thing is Chris Melling can play a little bit of clock. 6 minutes left. Michael Hill needs the next 2 frames.
It's a big thing, that, I think, in this situation for Chris. I know Chris wants to be aggressive, but from Michael's side of the table, he has to be very mindful, because 6 minutes feels like a long time in this form of the game, but that 6 minutes can disappear very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we know Chris is mindful of. He spoke to us both, didn't he, before his interview after the semi-final, where he said, I was playing a bit slower in the second set, trying to use a bit of that clock and manage it a little bit. It is something he thinks about, and he could use it to his advantage here. Michael is the one who needs to make something happen. You can just see Chris take a little look at the clock there. It's on his mind.
Yeah, 5 minutes away. Certainly not worth risking taking on a finish that isn't quite there. It's one of those that if you're torn between a safety shot and a finish, then the safety shot's the option because of playing the clock, which is fighting against his natural instinct a little bit, but so far he hasn't had the opportunity in this frame. Where it's the opposite for Michael, who needs to try and make something happen, even if it's an odds against clearance.
Yeah, again, I think that's a missed pot, actually. I think the way he's left that cue ball, it looks to me like a missed pot. This is a chance here for Michael Hill. He's got to go at these, surely.
I do think
he's going to wait one more just to get this red out. We had the double. Now it's on. Now it's on.
I was about to say, I do think that Chris was taking that pot on, but he was trying to, if he gets closer to the pot, then actually he hides the white behind those yellows at the top of the table. So missing the pot actually meant he missed safety, but that double from Michael has made a massive difference to what looked like an awkward frame.
And Michael Hill has the next break, remember. He still needs to win the next frame after this. He still got to win this one first. After all that, that will only force a shootout. Might still be some late drama yet. Three minutes and 45 seconds. That is loads of time if Michael Hill fancies a break and dish for his next frame. But we are going to be all square. With one to play, the decider may well decide the final itself. 3.5 minutes left. Michael Hill has the next break, and he has to clear to force a shootout and take this the distance.
For me, he's been breaking well. He's just not been having too much form on the break. It's not like he's mishitting the break that often. If he continues in that form, if he continues, all he can do is hit the break as well as he can hit it, and hope he makes a ball. And in that regard, if he can just continue to do what he is doing and believe it'll go his way, because when he has made a ball off the break, he's cleared them up.
Thinking about it there, isn't he, Chris Melling?
3 frames all. Time running.
He had his chance. It wasn't easy, but he had his chance. Will he get another? Massive, massive break. Gets a ball. Hand up an apology there from Michael Hill. Not too sure why at first look.
It looks like he catches the break brilliantly. Oh, you could see the spin on the ball. You could tell he's mishit the cue ball. There's a lot of power gone through the pack, and it's a strange game at times. Michael will probably tell you that's his worst break in terms of quality of strike on the cue ball, and he makes a couple of balls. It's a strange one.
So safety played. But how safe is it?
Balls in play.
How safe is it? Chris Melling is going to go game. If he does so, he's going to win the tournament. But if he goes far and doesn't get over the line, Michael Hill will probably have time to clear. There is no margin for error. That's a lovely shot to free that yellow. That 8-ball now probably squeezes into the middle pocket too. Probably a little bit closer than he'd like, but
I'm sure it does, but from Chris's side of the table now, he needs to use the full 20 on every shot. Really wind it down. Doesn't matter if he clears up or not, as long as that clock gets down. And once he gets past the point where he feels that Michael will be able to counter clear, job is done.
Yeah, he can run it here. 4 yellows and the 8-ball is quick maths, minute 40. Just choosing the slow death of Michael Hill here, isn't he? The constrictor rather. Squeezing the life out of this final.
He's running the clock down, and he's going to complete the clearance as well, just for added bonus.
It's been a brilliant final. Been a match for the ages. And Chris Melling is 2 shots away from winning it and securing 10 grand and the Champions League title in the process. Doesn't need to pop both balls, I don't think now. He'll want to.
he knows the job's done.
Both players having a little chat too, for good measure. Would love to know what they're saying to each other. And Chris Melling is your Champions League winner. A fantastic victory. Superb final. Such a superb final. The final stats don't even begin to say the full story of what was a magnificent match.
It was a brilliant match, it really was, and both players played their part. But Chris Melling, look at the way it all unfolded with the breaks. 6 breaks, 6 times he potted, 5 times he managed to complete the break and dish. And on the other side of the table, it was more 4-3 in terms of making a ball and not making a ball for Michael. And when he did make a ball, he managed to clear up a couple of times, but he was fighting off scraps, whereas Chris was getting more opportunities and was able to take them and was really putting it to Michael, who almost pulled it out to a 6-thread shootout at the end there. It's similar to the semi-final with Chris and Aaron, that he kept fighting all the way through. It was always felt like it was in a losing cause, but added a bit of drama at the end.
Well, there we have it. That is it. The Champions League pool is just about done. We still have, though, a presentation ceremony to come, and we'll hear from both of the great men themselves. In the end, it's the magician who triumphs over the machine. Do stay with us. Count off you, my IEM's died. I need a count, is that right? Well, welcome back for the final time to the Champions League pool. What a final we witnessed here in this arena between 2 of the greatest to ever do it. Michael, we'll start with you as our runner-up. Commiserations. What did you make of the final? It was some standard it was played at.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good final. I'm not exactly sure who made the most mistakes, so I'd have to probably watch it back. I thought it was quite even. There was a couple of turning points, but obviously that was one for me and one for Chris, you know. But overall, I thought the whole night was really good standard. You know, I know we've talked about other nights, the standard's been good. I know we've talked about there's been so many good players, but I genuinely think tonight I thought the standard was better than probably, you know, anything else that we've seen. And congrats to Chris. That's how we used to play all the time. Obviously, because he plays other Q sports now, you know, as obviously as great as a Q player he is, it's not easy to keep swapping disciplines all the time. But he used to play like that all the time. That was why it was so fun, you know, when the likes of Chris and Gareth and Darren and all them great players were playing, because you had these moments all the time. And it was really nice to kind of relive one of them moments that we used to have from probably being the age of 17 up until, you know, our early 40s. So it was a lot of fun for me, and I don't feel that disappointed that I've lost, to be honest, because it was just nice to have the occasion playing with Chris. Thanks to the sponsors, to everybody involved behind the scenes, Lee, Zach, Will, Mark, everybody, all the staff. I mean, I don't know everyone's name, to be honest, there's that many. But to everybody, you know, the referees, etc. I don't want to harp on too much. This is Chris's occasion, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and congrats to Chris.
Thanks so much, Michael. We'll see you very, very soon. And over to you, Chris. What a moment for you. It looked like that really meant something to you at the end there.
Yeah, obviously the occasion to play, in my opinion, the greatest player that's ever played 8-ball pool. In Mick, obviously a 6-time world champion. You can't beat him unless you play great. It's impossible, because his B game, the reason why he's the best is his B game is so much better than everybody else's A game. So he never plays bad. So when you do get the chance, you've got to take your opportunities, and I think I did that.
Felt like you brought your A game tonight. It was some performance.
I actually felt like I was playing rubbish. Honest to God, I felt I was going to miss.
It's not how it watched.
I felt I was going to miss every ball I went for. you know, obviously I didn't miss too many, which is why I got the result.
Well, it's all yours, mate. That and the £10,000. We'll let you have your moment. It's something you work very, very hard to get, I know.
Yeah, I'd just like to say a big shout out to obviously all the sponsors, you know, Ultimate Pool who are running the event, and everybody behind the scenes, my own personal sponsors, and shout out to Alicia and Isaac who are watching, and they should be in bed really. It's my friend's son and daughter, and everyone back at home in Keighley. You know, they all support me, they keep my feet on the ground, and you know, even though I've won it, this is part of them as well.
I'm sure they'll be delighted for you. Enjoy your moment.
Cheers,
it's all
thank
yours.
you.
Chris Melling is your 2021 Champions League of Pool winner. An absolutely tremendous achievement, and we cannot wait to watch Chris on our screens very, very soon. And speaking of on our screens very, very soon, we have something special lined up in a few weeks' time. Take a look at this. Well, welcome back into the arena. I've been rejoined by Simon Webb. That's coming soon. The Ultimate Pool Masters will start in April, and when I tell you there's some serious names lined up for that tournament, doesn't even remotely begin to do it justice. These two will be back along with many, many more as we do it all over again in a brand new competition here on Free Sports. Simon, your final words on what was a fantastic tournament and a fantastic final to close it out.
Yeah, it's felt very special, this tournament. I really think it has. We've seen Free Sports who have supported Pool for the last 2-3 years, and it's just grown and grown and grown, and this tournament is just the next step. And we've seen the shootouts on Free Sports, and OMG have joined up with Lee Kendall and Mark Quirk to form Ultimate Pool, and they are taking Pool forward, and it's been a fantastic exhibition of Pool in this event. Now we look at the final and the quality on finals night, it was quite breathtaking. It was just a pleasure to be in the commentary box. Some of the form we saw from the players out there, the way they were breaking and running out, it was absolutely incredible. And what a champion Chris is. It was sort of built on the back of a massive night of breaking. He was hitting the ball so well off the break, but then he was just mopping them up so consistently. It really was brilliant. He stopped his opponents having much opportunity.
A phenomenal performance, a great tournament, a great final, and most importantly, a great champion. Commiserations to Michael Hill. Congratulations to Chris Melling, your 2021 Champions League winner. Me and Simon and all the team here have been working really hard over the last 10 weeks or so to bring you this competition. We really hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again very soon here on Free Sports for Ultimate Pool Masters. Cannot wait to get that one started. For now though, it's goodbye.
This programme is brought to you by Vinny.co.uk.